What's up everyone, how are you all? Today we are back with amazing Naruto story. What if Naruto gets Hestia pregnant? If you enjoy then please like, share and comments. Forest near the Valley of the End. The forest. A woman strode through the forest toward Valley of the End. It has been 15 years she left her son in Elemental Nation because of that cursed ancient rules. This is her only chance to bring her son home and meet her sibling before her husband notice her absence. She suddenly froze for a moment as she can feel powerful energy not too far away from her. She know this energy. Kyuubi no Yoko, the one who almost destroyed Leaf Village long ago. Rushing toward the angry she felt. She hoped her son is alright. Valley of the End. Naruto was on his limit here. After fighting A6 Madara and sealing Kagaya using Fuinjutsu Shiki Fujin. And now the Teme has the nerve saying he should kill the 5 Kage and sealed the tailed beast into himself. In a last act of desperation, Naruto appeared in front of Sasuke in a yellow flash, surprising him for a moment, but that is all Naruto need. He slapped his palm on Sasuke's stomach and started to pull Sasuke's soul away from his body. "Wah! What are you doing, Dobi?" Sasuke said, alarm as he can feel his arm and leg goes numb. Naruto didn't say anything as his absorbed Sasuke's soul completely as Sasuke's body fall to the ground with a loud thud. Naruto fall to his knees. Exhausted from fighting Madara, Kagaya and then Sasuke. Sure, he feel bad killing his former teammate and friend, but it has to be done. Beside killing your enemy, it's part of the job. Naruto face meet the ground as he slowly close his eyes as his fatigue finally catching on with him. The women suddenly appeared beside Naruto unconscious body and knelt beside him to check if he's okay. To her relief and joy, she find out his chakra store is lower than usual. She then pick her son up and carrying him in bridal style. She open a portal in front of her then walk through. Eager to tell her husband about their son accomplishment. After a few hours Naruto finally opened his eyes, narrowing them a bit from the morning sunlight. He groaned as memories of yesterday flashing through his mind, giving him a headache. Suddenly Naruto sat on the bed alarmed and look as he scanned the room he's in. He in some sort of hospital room. Except it made of gold. The room somehow was glowing faintly as Naruto could feel the temperature in the room rising slightly before dropping. He could feel his body healing slightly when the room below. Suddenly the door of the room opened and 3 people entered with leisurely pace. The first person was an extremely handsome tall muscular man, with bronze-colored skin and a long golden hair that matched his tied into a bun, and his eyes shone as if it was the sun itself. He was wearing a t-shirt, a jean and loafer. The second person was also a man. The man is very tall, imposing, and very muscular with shoulder-length black hair with a gray and black neatly trimmed beard. He has electrically blue eyes with a serious and proud but extremely handsome face. With Naruto, super smell, nose as he dubbed it, he could smell of ozone rolling off of the man. He was wearing a dark blue pinstriped suit. The third person is a woman. She was beautiful. Naruto could tell that with long licorice black hair, a face of regal and unapproachable beauty like that of a supermodel on a fashion runway, and large, soft brown eyes that one could get lost in. She is wearing a glowing white gown. A cloak of peacock feathers over her shoulders, and a golden lotus-topped staff in her hand. A gold crown on her forehead and a belt of peacock feathers. The 3 of them approached him. Naruto took a fighting stance. He is suspicious of those 3. He could feel power radiating of them, especially those 2. The man with electric blue eyes and the women staring at him, nothing but love and adored in their eye. The women smiled tearfully at him and rushed forward and wrapped her arm around his neck, tightly pressing her weight to him. "Sniff, my precious Sochi. Sniff, welcome home my son," the woman said tearfully and happiness. Naruto was shocked as far as he know. His mother died protecting him from Kurama, who was in berserker mode about Uchiha. Then he eyes turn cold. He face has no emotion. He unwrapped the woman hand harshly and back away in a good distance from the trio. In doing so he missed the hurt look in the trio eyes. "Hey come on bro, that not cool to brush off you own mother," the man with the golden hair chided softly. "I ask again, who are you? My mother is dead protecting me along with my father from Kyuubi all those years ago, and now you telling me my mother is alive right in front of me?" He harshly said he can't help it. He rarely spoke about his parent. Not that he hate them, but it a touchy subject for Naruto. His friends and family in Konoha know this. The black-haired man spoke softly. Naruto. It's complicated. The man inwardly winced as his wife flinched every time they see Naruto glaring at them. Naruto stands stiff for a moment before he bolted out of the room faster than his Hiraishin, almost knocking the trio with his speed alone. Sochi, wait! The black-hair woman cried out, but he paid no mind to it. He ran out the door of the temple as he saw it. The sight he saw almost making him stumble. It was one of the most beautiful places he has seen. Building architect has done a good work on this place, Naruto mused. Some of the building is surrounded by cloud. Suddenly he feel a slender arm wrap itself around his neck tightly, a body pressing to his back. He went stiff hand reaching his kunai pouch. Naruto, please, I am your mother, if you listen to me then you will understand, he heard a woman voice his recognized. Sigh, alright, I hear you, so-called explanation, you have 5 minutes to tell me who are you and where are we, Naruto said firmly, not letting his guard down. Come, let's go meet the rest of our family. The woman grabbed Naruto's hand and gently dragged him. While on the way, Naruto checked his surrounding here and there. The woman led him to the throne room, as she called it. After second of gaping at the giant door that could rival the Konoha gates, they enter the room to see several giant people in their giant seat. The man sat beside electric blue eye man is tall, handsome, powerful and laid-back kind of guy. He has a black hair with a neatly trimmed black beard. A deep tan skin with a sea green eyes. His hands also deeply scarred like a old-time fisherman. He wore a Hawaiian shirt and a cap decorated with fishing lures which says, Neptune's lucky fishing hat. He wore leather sandals and khaki Bermuda shorts. The next is also a man. He is a huge, deformed and ugly lump of a man with his shoulders at different heights and a huge, bulging, misshapen head and his leg in a creaking steel brace, bushy eyebrows, and a wild brown beard that sparks fire from time to time. His face is red, lumpy and covered with welts, as if he'd been bitten by a million bees. He wears a jumpsuit with the name, Hephaestus, embroidered over the chest pocket. Next to him is a man has a muscular build, curly black hair, blue eyes, elfish features, and a sly grin. He wear a suit and a sport-winged suit. Next to him is the man Naruto back at the infirmary Naruto guest. The man smiled cheerfully at him. He smiled was shining that could surpass Guy and Lee. Naruto actually winced as some of the light shone directly into his eye. On the left side sat next to the licorice black-haired woman Naruto knew a woman. She had long blonde hair the color of ripe wheat, and wore a bright green dress with a dark cape. She also wore a crown of woven corn leaves and adornments of poppies, and had a sweet distinctive scent of a rainstorm over a field of jasmine. Next to her a woman wears a long white sleeveless dress, and held a spear and rectangular shield in her hands, with both items that was glowing with power. Her face is beautiful, but also somewhat scary, the way a warrior should look. Her storm gray eyes were bright and full of fierce energy. Next to her a woman wearing a red satin dress, with hair curled in a cascade of ringlets, perfect makeup, dazzling eyes like pools of spring water, and a smile that would have lit up the dark side of the moon. Sat next to the woman is a girl of the average age, which is around 12 or 13, with auburn hair gathered back in a ponytail, cold and bright eyes as silvery yellow as the winter moon, and her face was of such beauty. Sat next to her in a normal-sized chair is a woman. She is tall, graceful, and gorgeously beautiful, dark brown eyes, a slightly upturned nose, copper-colored skin, and the silver circlet braided into the top of her long dark hair. She has a cold look in her eyes. Sat on the side of the hearth is a 8-year-old girl with mousy brown hair and a simple brown dress, and she wore a scarf over her head. Naruto also noted that she had warm and cozy red flame eyes. Sat next to her is a man. He is very tall, imposing and very muscular god with albino white skin, intense black eyes that glitter like frozen tar and were either the eyes of a genius or a madman, and having a mesmerizing evil charisma, and shoulder-length black hair, with bangs usually covering most of his forehead. Having a beard. He wears black flowing robes with soles threaded into the cloth. He wore iron gloves that looking demonic. The room for the better lack of word was in chaos. Zeus, why you have summoned us here? I'm busy with paperwork. If you just shut up for a moment, Poseidon, then father can tell us why we are here. Shut you mouth, owl pellet, why don't you read some nerd books, huh, Athena? Why yo? Hey Artie, I got a new haiku for you, do you want to hear it? For his sake Apollo, no, I don't want to hear your stupid haiku, and don't call me Artie. Death breath, bring me back my precious daughter. How many times do I have to tell you, Demeter, she's safe in underworld. Naruto just watched the scene with a sweat drop until the man called Zeus slammed his lightning bolt into the ground. Thunder boomed in the distance, he could hear it. Silence. Thunder Zeus, as everyone toned down immediately. Everyone took notice of his presence with various expression. Zeus looked at him with fatherly love. Hades and Poseidon look at him warily. He appearance is almost identical like Zeus, too much for their liking. Apollo look at him with a goofy smile. Hermes look at him curiously while Hephaestus look at his kunai pouch with interest. The female side is also with various reaction. Like her husband Hera look at her son with love and care. Demeter look at him for a moment then mutter, "This man eat cereal for his good look," which make him sweat dropped. Athena look at him with calculating eyes. She noticed the way he dressed is like a ninja, which make her curious if he really a ninja or not. Artemis looked conflicted. She felt indifferent about the man, but she can't help but feel connected to this man regarding to her domain, which is the moon. She would have to ask him about it later. Aphrodite look at him with lust, which creeped him out a bit. She could see how his tight tank top fill out his muscle that make her drool a bit. She would seduce him after this meeting over. Zoe look at Naruto with cold look caused to her. All boys are disgusting like a pig. I have summoned all of you here because I have an announcement to make. This boy right here is mine and Hera's son, and he is the Prince of Olympus, Zeus declared proudly while his sibling and children except Hera stared at them in shocked. They couldn't believe there would have another son. Poseidon look at his brother with approval in his eyes. At least he keep his oath. Only chaos know they will be a headache if another demigod of Zeus appeared. Hades look indifferent about it, no doubt thinking about his children's safety at Lotus Casino. Apollo and Hermes look at Naruto with mischievous glint in their eyes, thinking causing chaos with their new little brother, or Lil Fishcake. Apollo decided to nickname him. Hephaestus look at his new brother with a slight hopeful gleam in his eyes, hoping that their new brother will not treated him like the rest of his siblings. Hera look at her son with motherly love. Demeter were staring at her nephew. She could feel nature energy coursing through her nephew body. She was wondering if he is sage. She will ask him later. Athena look at him with more curious glint, no doubt to ask him 1,000 question later. Artemis glance at him with question in her eyes. So, can you explain to me where are we and who are you? Naruto said with caution. He still doesn't trusted them. Well, Naruto, before the Kyuubi attacked me and your mother has a strained relationship, so we decided to start a new chapter. We go to Shinto pantheon and ask Lady Amaterasu permission to enter her pantheon to become immortal. Lady Amaterasu gives us the permission with rules, of course. The rules are we cannot tell the mortal in that world that we are god and goddess. So after a few years our relationship become better and better through the years. After the Kyuubi kill our mortal bodies, our godly souls went to Olympus. We tried to go Shinto pantheon to bring you to Olympus, but the Shinigami came to us saying that you died from the corrosive Kyuubi chakra. We were broken to hear you death. That is until recently Lady Amaterasu came to us and explained that Lady Amaterasu and Lord Chaos are your great-grandparents. They chose you to be the child of prophecy in Shinto pantheon. You are destined to bring peace to elemental nation Naruto, and for that we are proud of you, Zeus said proudly. Who wouldn't? His son is the child of prophecy that bring peace to the world. Oh, he couldn't wait to rub these facts at his brother's face. Naruto was shocked once again. He knew the prophecy from his mentor Jiraiya. But he didn't believe in such prophecy. His head is swimming right now. First a goddess appeared in the elemental nation and now the gods and goddesses real. His head is throbbing right now. He couldn't take it anymore, so he fainted. Right in front of the gods and goddess in the throne room. Naruto wake up with a killer headache. He sat up on the bed and massaged his forehead. Then the memory of last night came rushing to him. That his parent is a god, a Greek god and goddess. Then he noticed a black-haired head rested on beside his bed. It's his mother he recognize. Naruto walk off the bed gently and slowly as possible as to not to wake up his mother. He walk out of the place and began to wander across the street. The place is beautiful. Naruto couldn't deny that. From the top of the cloud at the peak of a mountain, its summit covered with snow. Clinging to the mountainside were a dozen multi-level palaces. Naruto wandered through a market as he saw there are people selling sword and shield, and some of the crowd has some young teenage girl with green skin. They sometime gave a dreaming glance at him shyly before a bit of drool coming out of the corner of their mouth which freaked him out a bit. It's like back in Konoha after defeating Pain he has a fangirl club that will stalk him everyone and gave the same expression like the group with green skin did. Naruto shuddered and picked up his pace. He ended up on the edge of Olympus, his eyes widened as he realized how far below he is. For a moment Naruto just stand there watching the city below him. Beautiful, isn't it? A voice said behind him. He turned around to see the gray-eyed woman he saw at the throne room. She gave him a curious look, her black hair swaying slightly to the side. "How can I help you?" Naruto asked. "Are you a shinobi?" she asked, curious what his answer are. "Yes, I am a shinobi. Why do you ask?" Naruto asked, raising an eyebrow at the question. "Does shinobi does not exist in this world now? I noticed the way you cloth like ninja and your stance. I also noticed you kunai pouch," she said. Well miss, I don't think we properly introduced ourselves," he said. She blinked rapidly for a few moments before she extended her hand. "Right. Well, my name is Athena, goddess of wisdoms, strategy, arts, crafts and battle." Naruto extended his hand and grasped her hand firmly. "I am Naruto Uzumaki, but you already know I was ex-Anbu captain and former Hokage." Athena has a glint in her eyes. "Can you tell me more about your village?" she asked hopefully. "Sure," Naruto said as he saw no harm came from it as he tell her how Konoha was founded by the first Hokage and the Uchiha clan leader. How the ninja village works. How different between ninja rank are. Athena was astounded at the stories he told her. She couldn't believe that the village was founded only by 2 clans. She was impressed by Hashirama's hard work, but she is slightly disappointed that Hashirama is naive to impending doom. She believed that Madara need to be watched 24 hours so that he could never to betray the village. She nodded approvingly at Tobirama's observation skill and the precaution he take on Madara. She was gobsmacked when Naruto described to her how the battle of Madara and Hashirama went. With Hashirama's abilities to control woods as a powerful abilities. She has seen her aunt Demeter how dangerous she is when she really into it. And Madara visual prowess slightly scared Athena because that kind of eyes that could make you move predictable is something she doesn't want to fight against. "Can you tell me about the gods in this realm, Athena?" Naruto asked. "It bad for a ninja to not know his surrounding?" "Sure," she tell him. "As you know, your father is Zeus, lord of the sky, god of honor, justice, rain, sky and lightning. King of Olympus. Next is you uncle Poseidon," she said the Poseidon name with venom. Naruto raised an eyebrow at that but said nothing. "He is god of the sea, storms, earthquakes, droughts, floods, soil, and horses, king of Atlantis, the earthshaker, the stormbringer. And Hades, he is god of the dead and wealth, lord of the underworld, but he does not have a seat on Olympus, he only here when there are emergency meeting or solstice meeting." Naruto also raised an eyebrow at that his uncle doesn't have a seat on Olympus. "And we have Hephaestus, he is god of fire, forges, sculpture, metalworking, stone masonry, carpenters, metallurgy, artisans, and volcanoes, lord of craftsmen and smiths. Blacksmith of the gods, he is you full-blooded brother. Next we have Hermes, god of messengers, travelers, and thieves, messenger of the gods, god of roads and merchants. God of trade and sports and god of border crossings. Next we have Apollo, god of archery and healing, god of music and poetry, god of prophecy and the sun, god of light. God of art and oracles. Ares is god of war and violence, god of battle, lust and rage. Dionysus is god of the vine, grape harvest, winemaking, wine, madness, religious ecstasy, and theater, director of Camp Half-Blood and member of the Council of Cloven Elders. As for the goddess you already know, you Mother Hera, goddess of marriage, home, and family, patron of women, queen of Olympus, queen of heaven and goddess of childbirth. Next is you Aunt Demeter, goddess of agriculture and fertility, goddess of sacred law and the harvest, goddess of the seasons. The next one is your half-sister Artemis, she is goddess of the hunt, and the wilderness, goddess of chastity, and maidenhood, also goddess of the moon, goddess of forests, hills, and archery. Next is Aphrodite, she said with slightly disappointed tone when she said that name, she is goddess of love and beauty. Goddess of lust and goddess of desire and pleasure. And the last one is Hestia, you aunt, she said fondly. It was no secret that all Olympian except Ares is cared for her. Like Hades, she doesn't have a throne. She sit at the sacred hearth tending the flame all the time, she is goddess of the hearth, home, and family. He smiled slightly at that. At least they have a family goddess. I like the last one though. She raised an eyebrow, and why is that? Family, he said with conviction in his tone. Seeing her confused look, he explained, family is important to a shinobi because every shinobi had to do the dirty work that will haunt you in your dreams. Family, friends, comrade will help you cope through it. It also helped that no matter what age you are, as long as you have your headband, you will consider as an adult. If you can kill, then you can drink alcohol, you can get laid, you can do adult stuff. Athena nodded at that logic. Sometime even adult has traumatic event about they work that make them quit the military. With this ninja law they could cope with it. And besides, family is what I treasure most, he said firmly and softly at the same time, and it was true. He doesn't have a family when he was a child. That is a very good ideal, Naruto, a melodious voice said behind him. He turned, he saw a 8-year-old girl with warm and cozy red flame eyes staring at him with adoration. She smiled at him warmly that make him smile back at her slightly. Aunt Hestia, what can I help you? He said softly at her. Hestia smiled warmly at him for a moment. Your mother has been searching for you all over Olympus. I think it better for you to come to Herod Temple before she task a search party. She chuckled along with him. Alright, lead the way, Aunt. The throne room. My baby. As soon Heresy, her son, walked in with Hestia and Athena, she lunged at him and held him to her tightly. Afraid as if she let him go now he will disappear again. Tears of happiness cascade down her face as she held her son. Hey, Mom, her son said somewhat recurrently. She understand why he hesitating to say that, but that doesn't mean it didn't hurt though. Yes. Yes, my baby boy, it's your mother. She backed away slightly to put her hand on his cheek, staring at him with love and adoration. Zeus came forward and pat his son's shoulder gently as he smiled at his son. Hey Dad, he said as his father smiled softly at him. Welcome to Olympus, my son, his father said before he hugged both his mother and him in family hug. Hestia smiled happily at the scene. She is happy because her brother and sister reunion with their son. She couldn't wait to talk about family with her nephew. Herod Temple. Naruto sat on the chair as he tell his father about his life. How did he become Genin, who is his sensei, how the village treatment to him as his mother cooked her homemade ramen for dinner. His mom and dad smiled at him the whole time, but in their mind they were furious at the treatment of the village to their son, and Zeus shook his head at Kakashi neglecting his training for the Uchiha at the Chunin exams while Harris snarls at that. After dinner he went to sleep at the room his mother has prepared for him. The room gave him a cozy feeling to it. He slumps on his bed tired from all the talking with his parent. Mindscape. Naruto stood at the grassy ground of his mindscape as he looked around. His mindscape has changed. No longer the sewer with drained pipes, but was replaced with big forest with some animals like foxes, cat, monkey, horse and a tanuki. I have been waiting for you. A raspy voice spoke behind him as he turned around so fast that could make Hiraishin like a slowpoke. He saw an old man with a kama using it like a cane. His body is old and puny. His hair is white with spiky waist-length hair and a bang of hair that covered the right side of his face. Naruto eyes widened. Madara, Naruto hissed loudly as he take a fighting stance. Please Uzumaki, hear me out first, wheezed out Madara. And why I should do that? Naruto growled at him. He is the reason of all the problem in Elemental Nation. If he just die at Valley, at the end things will go peacefully. Then listen, Madara said before he explained quickly, seeing Naruto demonic rage. I am dying, Uzumaki. After I become Kagaya vessel I see everything Black Zetsu did. He is the one who killed my brother Izuna and manipulating us both, the Uchiha and the Senju clan, to battle each other. I was so blind in my brother death to see that. I was supposed to be dead right now. Then why are you here? Naruto demanded. Your grandparents sent me here to train you to atone my sins, Madara confessed. Naruto eye widened. His grandmother and grandfather sent Madara here to train him. So Naruto, will you accept my training? Madara requested almost pleadingly. Naruto said nothing as ponder about this. It good to learn new technique as he only know various form of Rasengan, but on the other hand he is learning under a man who killed a lot of his friend. He looked at Madara in the eye for a moment before he answered, when will we start? Naruto sat beside Percy with an annoyed expression on his face that was shared with Percy. Naruto was doing his best to calm down his rage as Nancy Bobofit threw peanut butter and jelly at Grover, who acting as if nothing happened at him for the sake of his friend. It has been 2 years he has stayed in this world. Learning a new language is not a problem to Naruto thanks to his Rinne Sharingan. After he accepted Madara offered to train under him, his jutsu arsenal has been expanded greatly. His chakra control is astounding. He has mastered all of his 5 chakra nature and his Susanoo. Naruto was wearing a high-collar black jacket with a pair of jeans and a black tactical boots he got from his brother Hermes. On his wrist strapped a gauntlet-like firearms hidden by a genjutsu he put on. His white spiky waist length has been tied up into a bun. A bang of hair that covered his right eye swaying slightly, and his eyes has changed into warm and cozy red flames. After a 5 years worth of training in his mindscape, his body has been changing. His muscle are stronger and his skin is unbreakable as if it was the Nemean lion skin itself. His eyes color changing to red flames due to his aunt Hestia blood runs strongly in his flesh. Percy is wearing white shoes, blue jeans, a orange shirt and a gray jacket with hood, and Grover is wearing a t-shirt, an oversized pant that hides his legs and shoe. After he wakes up from his mindscape, his parents were shocked of his transformation. He tells them everything from Madara to the 4th grade shinobi war. They were shocked to hear his was trained by Madara Uchiha, the god of shinobi as people called him. After that, Naruto started spend all of his time with his family. He has helped his father paperwork, helped his mom cook, chatting with his lovely aunt Hestia, helping his brother Hephaestus at the forge much to his brother enjoyment, racing on foot with Hermes across New York, learning haikus from Apollo, hunting with Artemis, playing shogi with Athena, farming with his aunt Demeter, torture some people with his uncle, and keeping company with his half-sister Persephone, and fishing with his uncle Poseidon. Dionysus was too busy to hang out with him as he being the director of the camp Half-Blood and all, and Aphrodite just want to get in his pant, which Naruto always avoided her as much as possible, and Ares has nothing to do with him. Just a few months ago his uncle has visited him on Olympus. His uncle requests him to protect his son Percy, and his reward will be a blessing over his water chakra nature. Right now the trio is at Metropolitan Museum of Art to learning about Greek mythology. Athena has pretty much told him everything about Greeks, but he just here to protect and escort his uncle's son to Camp Half-Blood. "I'm gonna kill her," he heard Percy muttered lowly. "It's okay Percy, I like peanut butter," Grover said, but Naruto could see he was lying. He had to tilted his head to the side for a bit to avoid peanut butter thrown at him by Nancy. "That it?" Percy growled out as he started to get up, but Grover kept his down. But then Percy swore he saw Naruto's eyes turn red for a second before it disappeared. "You already on probation," Grover reminded Percy. "You know who get blamed." Percy smirked almost evilly as he nudged his head toward Naruto. Grover turned to look at Naruto and shiver. Naruto has a evil, mischieved and prankster glint in his eyes as he stared at Nancy almost predatorily. Grover almost feels sorry for the girl knowing how brutal Naruto prank when he really into it. "Hey Nancy." Nancy heard her crush called out to her, making her look at him and shiver. That look in his eyes making her scared and a bit turned on. "Why yes?" Nancy squawked out as she trembled under his powerful stare. "Stop throwing things at Grover or I make you do it," he said, though he growled out at the end. To Nancy though, that growled make her knees weak and a drop of liquid streaming down her thigh. "Oh okay," she meekly said. Percy whipped his head at his friend so fast that make Grover thought Percy head gonna snap. How the hell their blonde friend make the meaniest bullies all the school to have a crush on him there never know. Mr. Brunner led the museum tour. He rode up front in his wheeled chair, leading the group past the big gallery. Past marble statues and glass cases full of old black and orange pottery. Naruto internally chuckled at that as orange is still his favorite color. He looked at Percy and almost bust his gut at Percy's expression. The boy was shocked by the fact this old stuff in good condition. "Dude, close your mouth, you attracting flies." Percy blushed scarlet as he closed mouth. Naruto just chuckled. "Nothing, it's just that this stuff is really old." "Well, when you put it that way, yeah, this stuff is old, but at least it's interesting." Percy just looked at him. He remembered his blonde friend loved this stuff. He read a book about Greek mythology almost all the time. Turning their attention to Mr. Brunner, they went quiet. Listen to the guy went about ancient gods and goddess. He had gathered them around a 13-4 column with a big sphinx on the top, and the man started telling us how it was a graver marker, a stele, a girl age about around us. He told us about the carving around the side. Naruto noticed Percy actually showing more attention this time, but the guy around us won't shut up until Percy told them to be quiet. He then noticed Miss Dodds, the annoying math substitute teacher, give Percy evil eyes as if expecting Percy causing trouble any moment. This made Naruto weary of the teacher. Naruto could sense hatred and malice rolling off of Miss Dodds thanks to his negative emotion sensing. He keep an eye on her later on. Grover also noticed this and nodded at him. Silently agreed to watch Miss Dodds' movement. Mr. Brunner kept on talking about Greek funeral art, when Nancy blabbler about naked man on steel. Percy actually snapped and literally yelled at her to shut up. Mr. Jackson came out from Mr. Brunner. "Do you have a comment?" "No sir," said Percy, embarrassed by his outburst, which made Naruto shake his head. He was about to cast genjutsu on the annoying girl, but Percy beat him to it. The wheelchair man pointed one of the picture on the stele and asked Percy what it is. "That Kronos eating his kids, right?" "Yes," Mr. Brunner said, though he looked unsatisfied at the answer. "And can you tell me why?" Seeing Percy had trouble to answer, he decided to save his friend. Kronos ate his kids because of the prophecy saying that one day his children will do like he did to Uranus. He explained as Percy let out a relieved sigh. The Titan Lord ate all of his children with the exception of Zeus. Rhea, the Titaness of motherhood as well wife to the Titan Lord, tricked him into eating a rock instead of Zeus. However, years later, after Kronos hired a young Titan by the name of Zeus and actually a god in disguise, Kronos was very entertained by the latter's excellent singing, dancing, and satyr jokes. Shortly thereafter, Zeus encouraged all Titan to participate in the newly established Titanic drinking contests. As the Titan king of Mount Othries, Kronos would always win, since he could not let his siblings or nephews overcome him in anything. One evening, when Kronos was dining with his brothers and nephews, Zeus prepared nectar mixed with sleeping potion for Hyperion, and a powerful emetic for Kronos. As before, Zeus entertained them all with his great singing, dancing, and jokes. Near the end of the Titanic banquet, Zeus encouraged all of the Titans to have yet another drinking contest, and handed out the prepared goblets. As before, Kronos won the contest, but the emetic caused him to disgorge all his swallowed children, while his siblings was temporarily knocked out by the sleeping potion, and could not stop them from escaping. Shortly thereafter, all 6 of Kronos' children quickly declared war against their father, as well as the other Titans, which resulted in the terrifying 11-year-long Titanomachy. The Titans initially had the upper hand in his battles with the gods. However, the gods quickly became skilled warriors as well, and with the help of their new extremely powerful weapons, Zeus' Master Bolt, Poseidon's Trident, and Hades' Helm of Darkness, as well as the aid of the Elder Cyclops and Hecatoncheira, the gods finally prevailed. During the final battle, Zeus used his Master Bolt to shear off the top of Mount Othries and hurl Kronos from his black throne, defeating the Titan King. Shortly thereafter, the gods invaded the ruins of Mount Orthes, and finally overwhelmed the remaining Titans. In the aftermath of the battle, Hyperion was chained up by the Elder Cyclops, after which the Hecatoncheira forced him to kneel before Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades. Zeus proceeded to taunt his uncles. Zeus proceeded to hurl Hyperion into Tartarus, along with Iapetus, Krios, Koios, and Kronos' remains. The Titans would be imprisoned in the maximum security zone of Tartarus, surrounded by huge bronze walls, and a lava moat, guarded by their Hecatoncheirae brothers. Seeing Mr. Brunner stunned looked along with Percy and Grover, he couldn't help but smirked at them. His father has told him this story 100 times already. "Excellent Mr. Uzumaki, you did well," praised Chiron. He then looked at his watch. "On that happy note, it's time for lunch. Ms. Dodds, would you let us back outside?" The class drifted off, the girls holding their stomach and the guys roughhousing like idiots and acting like normal. The trio was about to follow them when Mr. Brunner said, "Mr. Jackson." Percy told them to keep going as he approached Mr. Brunner. Whatever the man was about told him. "Sir," Percy asked as Mr. Brunner, "has this look like he already knows more than he let on?" "You must learn the answer to my question." "About the Titans?" asked Percy. "About real life and how your studies applied to it," he stated. "Oh," Percy mumbled, though Percy has sinking feeling the man is not finished yet. "What you learned from me," he started. is vitally important and I expect you to treat it as such. This made Percy a bit angry at the man. Sure, he was cool in class when he started the tournament those days, but the man is pushing Percy a bit hard. Percy mumbled something about trying harder before leaving. Mr. Brunner looked at the girl on steel sadly before he sighed and rode out of the museum. None of them noticed a pair of rippled eyes with 8 Tomo watching their every movement before disappearing in black lightning. The class gathered on the front step of the museum, where they could watch foot traffic with Fifth Avenue. The boys noticed the clouds were brewing. Hey Naruto, what do you think is going on? With the weather and all. Naruto gave him a deadpanned look while grown internally. He has learned from his mother that the sky always react when his father was in his temper tantrum. He wondered what could make his father this mad. I don't know, Percy. With that the two joined Grover at the fountain and sat down to eat. It was away from others so there will not being bothered, and the fact Percy didn't like being in school that made school for freaks. Naruto didn't care for a civilian school as he a ninja, but they didn't to know that. Detention? Asked Grover. Nah, Percy said, not from Mr. Brunner, I just wish he lays me off sometimes, I mean. I'm not a genius. Naruto chuckled and said, maybe you related one of the Greek gods, Percy, maybe that is the reason he is interested in you. Percy laughed good-heartedly at Naruto joked as Grover nervously laughed. After that they a bit quiet. Grover asked Percy one of the apples and the boy give it to him. Percy seemed deep in thought. Thinking about your mom? Naruto asked softly, seeing the boy nodded. Yeah, we are kind of close to her place. I hope she is okay, I mean she has been living with Gabe after all. Percy said, a little angry that his mother living with Gabe. Percy, I'm sure she is okay, I mean she has put up with that pig this far. Still doesn't know why she married him though. Naruto lied, he know exactly why Percy mom married Gabe. To wash Percy demigod scent. It's rather impressive is that only take this, smelly Gabe, to wash Percy big 3 demigod scent. Naruto has watch over Percy family and secretly sending money to his mother with Hermes' help, and every time he watch over them he has to control himself from killing Gabe and dump his body in the sea. Percy nodded and was about to unwrap his sandwich when Nancy Bobovit and her annoying friend came over and dumping her food at Grover as he and Percy glared menacingly at her. Oops, she drawled out as she grinned at Percy as if expecting him to start causing trouble. Naruto could tell that Percy is pissed and was trying to calm himself and failing miserably. Then Naruto noticed water at the fountain rose up and pushed Nancy to her butt. Percy pushed me, she screeched as Ms. Dodds came over and glared at Percy as if she already know he gonna cause trouble. They heard whisper around them and apparently not only Naruto saw that. After Ms. Dodds checking Nancy to see if she was hurt, she turned to Percy and said, now honey, but Percy cut her off. I know a month of erasing workbooks, Percy grumbled. Though that is not the right thing for Percy to say. Come with me now, she ordered him. Grover cried out. Wait, it was me who pushed her. Percy was stunned that Grover trying to take the blame for him, and Naruto smiled softly at Grover action. Ms. Dodds glared at Grover menacingly until his chin trembled. No surprise there since he is Satri, he could feel the hate. I don't think so, Mr. Underwood. But, you will stay here, she said with anger, each voice making Grover cowered under her glared. It is okay man, Percy assured his friend while Naruto patted his shoulder. With that he took off, but not before giving Nancy a dirty look while Naruto's eyes gleamed as he glared at Nancy. She noticed this and shivered as a blush took her cheek as she shrank with arousal under those powerful stare. They turned to look at Ms. Dodds and saw she already at the entrance of the museum. Both boy look at each other. Percy was thinking how the hell Ms. Dodds get there so fast, while Naruto narrowed his eyes as he sensed hate and malice from that old hag. He silently followed them from the shadow. Percy followed Ms. Dodds as she lead him. He wondered if she gonna make him buy Nancy a new t-shirt to replace her wet one, but that seemed not the same as they passed the gift shop. They walked until they reached at the Greek and Roman gallery of the museum. Percy heard Ms. Dodds growl as she looked at the marble picture of Greek gods. You have causing trouble for us boy, she said as Percy looked at her oddly. He wondered if Ms. Dodds find out that he's selling candy at class. Ma'am, I don't Percy said, but Ms. Dodds hissed loudly. Your time is up, she hissed loudly as she straightened to change. Her eyes began to glow like barbecue coals. Her fingers stretched into talons and her jacket melted into large leathery wings. Percy gaped at her for a moment before he made a run for it until he stumbled into the ground as Ms. Dodds lunged at him. He raised his arms in hope to reduce the pain until he heard a voice behind him. Shinra Tensei, almighty push. Suddenly an invisible force struck Ms. Dodds as she thrown across the room and disappeared in a golden dust. The force was so strong that made the gallery wall fall off along with the marble picture of Greek gods. Percy turned his head slowly as if he turned so fast he will be next. He saw Naruto standing behind him with his palm facing at the direction Ms. Dodds has been. His red flaming eyes has a ripple with 8 tomo pattern in them. Naruto's sweat drop. He really need to practice chakra control when he get to Camp Half-Blood. Naruto. What was that? Percy asked dumbly. I don't have time to explain, Percy, I tell you later. For now let's go, he said firmly as he put his hand on Percy's shoulder and they disappeared in a black butterfly. Just in time for Chiron strode in to see the destruction that left in the butterfly. He narrowed his eyes as he is thinking who could cause this much damage. I have to report this to Olympus. After the incident with Ms. Dodds, things went on normal as if nothing has happened for the rest of the year. Percy was a bit put off that Ms. Dodds was never existed before. Was in her place was a 21 years old Miss Cammy. Miss Cammy was a sight to behold, with a blonde hair shoulder length, a soft lips with a cute button nose. Her eyes is a onyx color. She usually wear a tight tank top that show her amazing bust with a red jacket, a pair of tight jeans and a sneaker for shoes. The first time she is here the males all but drooled at her, looking at her with lust and need while the girls begged tips for beauty. She seems to have developed a crush on a certain spiky blonde hair wicker Martine. Naruto always wonder why she paid more attention to him while blushing like crazy, and why the girls including Nancy glaring holes at their math teacher. Though everyone seems not to know what the hell they're talking about, Grover seemed to know something cause he always hesitate before he changed the topic. He is such a bad liar. Naruto red flame eyes glint evilly at the thought of teaching Grover how to lie perfectly. A few days later a biggest tornado has been spotted at Hudson Valley, touched down only 50 feet away from Yancey Academy, which was scary itself. Luckily no one was hurt. Percy started to feel cranky and irritable most of the times. His grades fall from D's to F's. He almost got more fight with Nancy Bobovit and her friends. Fortunately Naruto stopped him from doing so. Naruto also feel his emotion out of control, but unlike Percy who didn't have a sage training have a better to control their emotion. Something odd is going on and somehow it affected them, it annoying them none more so than Naruto. After he sent Percy to Camp Half-Blood he going to Olympus to check what the hell is going on. Though when Percy got in trouble by calling their English teacher an old sot, whatever that meant, the school has sent a letter to his mom telling her that Percy is not allowed to come back next year. Naruto sensed the boy mood rise a little bit. The boy was homesick, no surprise there. Speaking of home, Naruto frowned thinking about them. After spending time with his family, his mom and dad has sent him back to Elemental Nation to release Mugen Tsukuyomi, Infinite Tsukuyomi. After he done that he sealed Sasuke's body and left a note to Ba-chan of what has happened. He hoped they've been doing great. Naruto sighed as he brought back to reality. Exams has come up this week's just like he, Grover and Percy they had to study. He really needs Athena help in civilian school system. The night before the exams, Naruto and Percy has decided to study at Percy dorm. Through the night Naruto could see Percy get more and more agitated. Just wait for it, Naruto thought humorously while mentally count down the time. Finally he threw the book across the room. Anger won't help you in this situation, Percy. Just stay calm and takes a deep breath, Naruto said sagely, trying to lift up the atmosphere. Sorry, but how the hell am I supposed to know the difference between Chiron and Karen? Not too far away an horseman sneezed violently, startling Grover who was outside of his room. At Los Angeles a man with shades also sneezed violently before he glared menacingly into space. Naruto sighed and sat up with crossed leg. The difference is Percy Chiron is a centaur and trainer of great heroes, while Karen is a man who guide dead souls past the river Styx with the highest paid. Percy blinked as he stared at his blonde friend oddly before he shake his head. I'm gonna ask Mr. Brunner for the rest, he might have a way for me. Want me to accompany? Naruto asked. Not that Percy choices matter. What matter is getting Percy to Camp Half-Blood as soon as possible. Yeah, so I don't feel like a total idiot going back there, Percy replied as he got up to get his book. Naruto just chuckled. They walked downstairs to the faculty offices. Most of them are dark and empty, but Mr. Brunner was ajar. Light across the room stretching across the hallway floor. They are 3 steps from the doorknob when the duo heard a voices behind the door. When the duo heard Mr. Brunner question, a voice they recognized from Grover said, "I'm worried about Percy, sir." They froze and decided to eavesdrop. Alone in this summer, Grover was saying, "I mean a kindly one in school, we know for sure, and they know it too. We only make matters worse by rushing him." Mr. Brunner said, "We need Percy to mature more. But he may not have time, the summer solstice deadline. We'll have to resolve without Percy." Mr. Brunner said, "Grover, let Percy enjoy his ignorance while he still can." "Sir, they saw her." "Their imagination," Mr. Brunner insisted. "The mist over the students and staff will be enough to convince Percy over that." "Sir, I can't failed my duties again." Grover voice choked with emotion. "You know what that would mean." "You haven't failed, Grover," Mr. Brunner said kindly. "I should have seen her for what she was. Now let's just keep Percy alive until next fall." The mythology book Percy had brought with him fell to the floor. All went silent. Percy grabbed the book as Naruto held Percy's hand and disappeared in swirling vortex. Mr. Brunner came out of the door to see nothing, and somehow he is taller than before. "Nothing," Mr. Brunner muttered. "My nerve haven't been right since winter solstice." "Mine neither," Grover said, "but I could have sworn." "Go back to the dorm," Mr. Brunner told him. "You got a long day tomorrow." "Don't remind me," Grover whined as he head out. "Even though we have to watch Percy, there's something off about Naruto." Mr. Brunner thought about Naruto. The boy was strange, that for sure. He could sense power in him, but not a demigod power, but at the same time he smelled like a fox. No matter, he has to watch them both. Percy dorm. In a swirling vortex came out Naruto and Percy. Naruto land on his feet while Percy face introduced itself onto the ground. Naruto casually dusted off imaginary dust on his shoulder while Percy held his stomach as he groaning in pain on the ground. "How the hell do you do that, Naruto?" groaned Percy as he held his stomach from puking his dinner out. Naruto chuckled from Percy condition. "You get used to it," he said as he used Iryo ninjutsu, healing jutsu, on the boy's stomach, making him sigh in relief. "Hey, can you stay for the night?" Percy asked. "You the ninja here, I mean we have better chances at surviving if we stick together." Naruto sighed. He already told the boy about his power and chakra, just the basic, and how he end up in this world. Of course Naruto lied to him a bit about how he get here, as he doesn't want the boy freaked out that now gods exist. "Fine with me. I just hope you survive the exams," he teased Percy at the end. Percy paled and hung his head as he'd been reminded about the exams and why they went down in the first place. "I am so screwed." Naruto just patted Percy's shoulder in hope to comfort him. After Percy said that, Grover came walking in as if nothing has happened. "Hey guys, how you guys doing with your studies?" Percy just hung his head in depression and didn't say a word. "Hey, you okay, Percy?" Grover asked worriedly. Suddenly Naruto smirked as he already made plans for the exams. The next day they finally got out from 3-hour Latin exams. "That is true hell back there," Naruto muttered darkly as he rubbed his sore hand from writing so much. "Phew, glad I passed that exams," Percy sighed in relief, even though his hand are sore. Naruto has came up an idea that will help Percy dyslexic. He created a wristband made out from Godudama, truth-seeking ball, and attached it to Percy's wrist. The wristband allowed Percy to see what Naruto see, as Naruto don't have dyslexic. Percy was grateful for Naruto Ninja Awesome, as he called it. Mr. Brunner called Percy back in as he wait for Percy. With his sensitive hearing he hear Mr. Brunner say, "Percy, don't be discouraged about leaving Yancy, it's for the best. I guess this is not the right place for you, Percy, it is only the matter of time." "What do you mean?" Percy said harshly. He was pissed. Here he favorite teacher in this dump of a school, and in front of whole class tell him he couldn't handle it all. No, Mr. Brunner said. "Oh, confound it all, what I'm trying to say is you not normal, Percy, and that nothing to be." "Thanks a lot, sir," Percy blurted out, "for reminding me." "Percy," he called out, but Percy already out of the door. One last day of the term, Naruto watched Percy shoved his cloth into his suitcase. They listened the other guy brag about where they going this summer. Naruto was annoyed because every girl in Yancy give him a partaway gift, but most of them are love-shaped chocolate, as they gave him a kiss on the cheek before they ran away from him blushing like crazy. His substitute teacher Miss Kami gave him her phone number and told him if he ever have problem with math, call her for more lesson. Naruto just shrugged before she pecked him on the lips, then run away like the other girls. "My home is in the city for the summer," Percy replied. Same here, Naruto stated as he approached Percy from behind, scaring Percy since he didn't hear his footsteps. When did you get here? Percy asked as the other guy flied out. Just a moment ago, Naruto said as Percy nodded. So remind me again why I'm going with you to your place, Naruto said. Well, you could tell that I'm a bit peeved lately and you a great help when I'm in bad mood. Trust me, I needed it to face Gabe again, Percy told him. Great, Naruto commented, then his red flame's eyes flickered excitedly. Hey, you know what, my house are not too far from you, so maybe we can't hang out more. Great idea. Percy smiled a bit at the idea. He always has his own unique way to lift people's spirit. Percy was dreading about how to say goodbye to Grover, but luckily for them he was on the bus with them. The whole bus ride Grover has been fidgety and look around them here and there as if expecting Ms. Dodds come back from life to kill them. Looking for kindly ones. Percy was getting annoyed by Grover behavior and Grover jump in his seat. Wah, what do you mean? Percy confessed about the Eve dropping but left out about Naruto being a ninja. Grover twitched. How much do you hear? Oh, not much, Percy told him. What is summer solstice deadline? Grover, what is you not telling us? Grover fidgeted under Naruto red flaming eyes. His eyes seemed to change color from red to blue to black and red again. Grover winced. Look guys, I'm just worried for you. I mean hallucinating about a demon math teacher? Grover. And I was telling Mr. Brunner that maybe you guys were overstressed or something because there was no such thing as Ms. Dodds or... Grover, tell us what's going on, Naruto said the last word deeply, while on the inside he was laughing like a madman. Of course he already know all of this, but he want to test Grover a bit. From his shirt pocket he fished out a couple of grubby business card. Just take this, okay, just in case you need me in this summer. The card letter was in fancy script which was a murder in Percy dyslexic eyes, but he managed to read it. Grover Underwood, Keeper, Half-Blood Hill, Long Island, New York, 800-009-0009. What Hal? Percy started. Don't say it out loud, Grover yelped. It's my summer address, Naruto inwardly groaned. Grover is sucked at lying. He need to teach Grover how to lie to save his life. Percy was sad that even Grover has summer camp. He was glad that Naruto is sticking with him. At least this summer won't be boring with his ninja tricks around. Okay, he said glumly, so it's like if I want to visit your mansion? Grover nodded, or if you need me. Why would I need you? Percy harshly asked, making Grover flinch while Naruto watched the whole commotion with narrowed eyes. Grover blushed. Look Percy. I sorta kind of protecting you. This make both boy look at each other oddly. Most of the time they who the one protecting him. Grover. What exactly are you protecting me from? Percy asked. Before Grover could answer, a huge grinding noise under their feet. Black smoke poured out of the dashed box and the bus filled with rotten eggs smelled. The driver cursed loudly as he drove to the sidelines of the highway. After a few minutes clanking around the engine compartment, the driver told them to get out. They were on a street of country road. On the bus side of the highway was nothing but maple trees and litters from passing cars. Across 4 lanes of asphalt shimmering with the afternoon heat was an old-fashioned fruit stand. Naruto noticed the fruit stand sell all the good stuff. The fruit was in good looking and 3 old ladies under the shades of maple tree were knitting the biggest sock he ever seen. The lady on the right knitted one of them while the left knitted the other. The lady in the middle held an enormous basket of electric blue yarn. They looked ancient with frailed faces wrinkled like a fruit leather. Silver hair tied back with white bandanas. Bony arms stretched out of bleach cotton dressed. Curious, Naruto approached the 3 lady with leisurely pace as they watch him. Excuse me, can you sew my headband? I paid you, he said as he fished out a roll of dollar out of his frog wallet, making the 3 ladies giggled at that. He took out his mentor headband. Jiraiya, after he defeat Pain, Konoha has sent a group of Anbu to search his body. Along the way they found his headband. The cloth was torn and riddled with holes. Tsunade gave him as a memorial for his mentor. Sure dear, and please call me Atropos, the lady with scissor said. And to answer your question, yes dear, we can fix that headband for you, and please call me Lachesis, the lady who hold 2 metal rods said, smiling at him. How about we do this for free only for you my dear boy, and call me Clotho, the lady holding the big ball of yarn said, smiling, and winked at him. Naruto happily handed the headband at the ladies as he read scroll about seals. On the other side Grover was gaping at him. His face was paled as if it was the moon itself. His body was trembling and he was shakingly pointed his finger at him. Percy looked at Grover oddly. What is the problem with Naruto? Went to the old ladies to repair his headband. Here you go dear, and please be careful with it, said the ladies as they hand the headband to him. Naruto took it as he looked at his headband. The cloth was now different. Instead of the normal black there are white now and was faintly glowing. Naruto dismissed it as a trick of light. He grinned at the three ladies. Thank you, he said before walked away to confused Percy and paling Grover. You sure to give him the power to control fate, sister? Atropos, the fate of death, asked her sister. Lachesis, the fate of life, shrugged her shoulder. It does not matter. He already have grandfather blessing to defy us, so why don't give him our power? Clotho, the fate of birth, shivered and said, I doubt mother and grandfather will be happy if we messed with the boy thread unless we want a death wish, that is. She finished as the other fates shivered violently at that. Come now, we must deal with son of the sea fate, Clotho said firmly as her sister nodded. Once the blonde reached his friend, he saw Grover was about to faint. Then he heard a snip. He turned around and saw Atropos cut a thread. He wondered what makes Grover scared about. That it's we getting out of here, Grover said, grabbing Naruto and Percy's arms, and surprisingly the engine roared to life as the student cheered. All right kids, in the bus, the driver said as the student started to file in. Naruto was about to join them before he suddenly stopped and moved away from the bus. Naruto, where are you going? Percy asked as he stared confusedly at Naruto. I have something important to do, Percy, I have to go. I meet you at your house, okay? Naruto said as the boy nodded. Percy house. Sally is a strikingly beautiful woman. Blue eyes that sparkle and change color in the light. A smile as warm as a quilt. And long brown hair with a few streaks of gray in it. She also had a scent of chocolate, licorice, and everything else one would find in a candy shop, and that her bright eyes, her quick smile, and her sense of fashion made her look younger despite the gray streaks in her hair. She currently on the floor holding her reddening slap-marked cheek courtesy to her abusive husband Gabe Ugliano, hitting her when he in bad mood or drunk. For what reason her husband hit her like a whore is because she watched the news that the Yancey Academy has been hit by some deranged man, and they show a footage of smoldering Yancey. A feeling of dread fills Sally as she hoped her son wasn't one of the victims. Before the reporter listed the names, Gabe has changed the channel, not really caring if some brats died. Sally quickly snatched the remote from Gabe and changed the channel, but to her relief her son wasn't among them. This action of course completely pissed off Gabe and promptly smacked her across the face. You cunt, he snapped in a fit of rage. He quickly grabbed Sally's shirt and ripped it. You need to learn your place, you bitch, me and my friend's gonna make sure of it. He unbuckled his pant and bring out his disgusting manhood along with his friend. This is the scene Percy stumbled to. He was shocked that smelly Gabe would go this far to do to his mother. Get away from my mom, he roared. But he suddenly stopped as he saw Naruto standing behind Gabe, stabbing him through his chest with weird long-looking needle sword. His other friend was already dropped dead on the ground with holes in their chest. Foo. Abuse a woman is a little too far, don't you think? Naruto whispered in his ear as his face set into agonizing pain before he fell to the side. Mom. Percy quickly rushed to his mother as Naruto took off his high-collar jacket to cover his friend's mother modesty. Tears swelled in Sally's eyes as Percy hugged his mother, trying to comfort her. Naruto on the other side, Amaterasu, small black flame like tears trailing down his cheek as the pig and his friend engulf in a black flames and burn them into ash, leaving nothing behind. He then introduced himself. Hello Ms. Jackson, my name is Naruto Uzumaki and I'm your son friend. Thank you for saving me Naruto, and please call me Sally, she said. Thanks Naruto. Percy sent his blonde friend a grateful, though he silently disturbed by the black line like blood on his friend's cheeks. There no need to thank me Percy. Now Ms. Sally, I assumed you already know who Grover is or what he is. Sally nodded, confusing her son in the process. Percy, I know you have question, but not right now, we explain to you later, he said firmly as Percy frowned a bit but nodded. Is there any place that we can stay for a while? Yes Montauk, me and mom has been planning to go there for a while, Percy answered him. Naruto nodded at that. Right now a place near his uncle domain is the best thing they could do for now. Who know what his father would do if he know Percy exist in this world. He groaned inwardly at that thought. While his born as a mortal, his mother always dragged him into council meeting as family bonding. his mother said. He would rather go drink a tea with his half-sister Persephone and Aunt Demeter in the underworld than go to the meeting. So how was it good or bad? Give me review. So somebody added my story to their reading list, so I just want to say I greatly appreciate you reading my story, and the said person also said I should change my story cover. Here the things is I don't know how to undo the story cover, and the currently story cover is all I have, so FYI the picture in the story cover is not mine, drawing is someone else. I do not own that picture, though I downloaded on Google, so there you go. Once they got there, Naruto couldn't help but smiled. He loved this place away from the city with fresh air and spectacular view. It is a vice versa. Alright, they were currently sitting around small fire roasting hot dog and marshmallow. Mom, what was my father like? Asked Percy, since he literally don't know anything about his biological father. He was kind, Percy mother told them, tall, powerful and handsome, but gentle too. You have his black hair, you know, and his green eyes. She fished a blue jelly bean out of her candy bag. I wish he could see you, Percy, he would be so proud. Percy took a sad face at that, while Naruto lost in his own memory. After he arrived in this world, his mother won't stop smothering love into him along with his father. He can't help but smiled slightly at that. Now he has a really big family to take care of. How old was I? Percy asked. I mean, when he left me. She watched the flames. He was only with me for 1 summer, Percy, right here at this beach, this cabin. But he knew me as a baby. No honey, he knew I was expecting a baby, but he never saw you. He had to leave before you were born, she said, and then look at Naruto. Naruto, what was your parent like? Naruto just smiled sadly, and his red flames eyes dimmed a bit. I never knew my parents. Right after I was born, my hometown has been breached by an unknown man. Right after my birth, the man hold me as a hostage with threat to kill me if they don't give them my mother. My father managed to save me, but they got my mother. Later the man's intention was clear, that he want a weapon from our family. He managed to gain our weapon and destroy half of my hometown. Then he tried to kill me, but my parents sacrificed themselves in order to protect, and since then I have no family. He told them sadly, even though he was sugar-coated version of it. Sally's eyes swelled with tears while Percy looked at his friend in shock. She wiped her eyes. Well, I'm sorry for bringing bad memories, Naruto, she said with regret in her voice. Don't be, I passed on that long ago. My godfather and grandfather has been taking care of me before they're passed away. He tells them, but hide the fact that both his godfather and grandfather was killed in action. Percy, after out of his shock, took a sad face again. He didn't know if he can survive loneliness like Naruto could. Are you gonna send me away again? Percy asked. To another boarding school? She pulled a marshmallow out of the fire. I don't know, honey. Her voice was heavy. I think we have to do something. Because you don't want me around? But he regretted those words as soon there was out. Her eyes welled with tears. She took his hands and squeezed them tightly. Oh, Percy, no, I have to, honey, for your own good I had to send you away. Because I'm not normal? Percy asked. You say that as if it a bad thing, Percy, but you don't realize how important you are. I thought Yancey Academy would be far enough away. I thought you would be finally safe. Safe from what? Percy asked. I guess that would be enough for today, Ms. Jackson. For now we rest before heading out tomorrow, Naruto said suddenly, as he don't want the kid to know now. Sally nodded, then led her son to his room while Percy was frustrated that he couldn't get the answer but let it go. Naruto watched them go before he headed to his own room to get some sleep. Morpheus Realm. Menma, come on, just a bit longer and then we reached the cave, a 13-year-old Naruto said, wearing his trademark orange jumpsuit as he ran with Menma. Menma had tousled shoulder-length, blonde hair and gray eyes. He wore a lavender long-sleeved shirt with a green scarf along with dark pants and shoes. His shirt was later destroyed, so a wound on his back could be operated on. The mark of Xian's clan appeared on his right shoulder when he perspired. Naruto was gathering bamboo for his ramen until he saw a boy fall off the cliff and soon rescue him and takes him back to Konoha to recover. Naruto gave him the nickname Menma. When the hospital that he is staying at catches on fire, Menma's memory returned while he was saving an infant, much to his dismay. After being permitted to stay, Menma builds a good reputation with the village elders, along with Naruto, by performing various odd jobs. While they are cleaning the stone faces, a bandit, who has introduced himself as Shin, attacks one of Konoha's shinobi. Naruto chases after him to battle him. Eventually, Menma follows along and starts playing his ocarina, revealed Tonehance one's chakra. Naruto, with increased speed, catches up to Shin and throws a kunai at him. Unfortunately, he gets away after using the body replacement technique. Tsunade assigns a mission to Naruto, Neji, Tenten and Menma, in which they are to enter the land of rice fields in search of Menma's lost memories. By chance, they come across the village Menma attacked on the orders of his clan's leader, Shin, with the rest of the bandits. However, Menma doesn't mention anything he remembers to the Konoha ninja. It is revealed that there is a war currently taking place between the land of the rice fields and other nations, mainly due to the actions of Orochimaru. As a result, the area that the raided village is in is a demilitarized zone, ruled by no one, but with a gold mine on the mountain nearby. Bandits sought the mine, and raided the village to get to the mine. Menma was one of those bandits. The Konoha ninja are told that the bandits will attack again for the mine. Menma decides to help the village to make up for what he had done, but disguises his true intentions by saying he wants to help protect the village. He and Naruto make a wall around the village. Soon they are joined by Tenten, Neji and the rest of the villagers. They all prepare for their face-off with the enemy. Eventually, Shin attacks the village. Having difficulty with getting past the wall and defeating the Konoha ninja, he resorts to using music to paralyze the Konoha ninja, but Menma counters the technique with his own music ninjutsu. This allows Naruto to break Shien's flute, and Tenten and Neji to defeat the raiders. Shin, realizing the battle to be lost, retreats to the dam at the river. Menma quickly realizes his plan, having been trained by Shin and knowing all his plans for the raids. Shin planned to flood the village to drown the villagers. The gold mine would be left unharmed. Menma informs Naruto and they quickly race to the gold mine to collect the exploding tags. Just as they reached the cave, they quickly search for the exploding tags. They found it, but before Naruto could take them off, Menma stepped in front of him. "Hey Menma, what the big deal? We don't have time, so come on," said an annoyed Naruto. "Naruto-kun, I have something to tell you," Menma said, his face set into pain expression. "What, hurry up Menma," Naruto said frantically as time ran out. "It was me who raided this village," Menma confessed as Naruto's eyes widened. "It was the order of my clan that I raided this village, and I felt horrible for that." He smiled. "The day you saved me on that cliff, Naruto-kun, is the day I erased my memory in order to forget my sinister past, but at last it was only temporary. I'm planning to collapse this mine and put a stop to the flood." Naruto's eyes widened in horror as he connected the dot. "Are you fucking nuts? You going to kill yourself? Menma, there has to be the other ways, there always has the other ways," he said frantically. Menma smiled sadly. "Perhaps. For somebody else, Naruto-kun. But not for me. Thank you. For saving at that cliff, Naruto-kun, and for everything." He then pushes him off the mountain, away from harm. Just as he reached the ground, the mountain explodes simultaneously without stopping. His face set into horror as he realized that Menma is dead. Clenching his eyes shut, he doesn't realize the Kyuubi started to take over. His hair, if possible even spikier than before, red chakra covering his body, his hand changing into claws, his sharp canines poking out of his lips. Opening his deep crimson eyes with slits, he cried out to heaven. Meanwhile, Shin was startled as he heard that loud cry. He wondered what was all that until an evil and menacing aura surrounding him, making he choke on his own saliva as he fall to the ground. Fear racked his body as he looked forward and widened his eyes in fear. There in front of him was the blonde brat that broke his flute. He was crouching like an animal on prey, and in a blur he already in front of him. Claw hand gripped his neck tightly and threatened to crush his throat. The boy lifted Shin up until they went eye to eye. "You kill him." Shin what the boy was talking about until he realized what the boy was telling him. He heard the explosion at the mountain and connect the dots. "SOWH at his dead, he was as A-list to the clan," wheezed out Shin. A dark grin forming on Naruto's black lips. "Useless? I show you who is useless now." He then pierced his hand through Shin's chest directly at his heart. His hand gripped tightly on his heart, then he ripped it out. Blood spurted from his chest as his face set into pain and anguish. Naruto grinned at seeing the heart still pumping. He then clenched the heart, crushing it in the instant blood spray into his face as he killed Shin that night. Naruto woke up in a cold sweat as he trying to calm his rapidly beating heart. He still remembered that day as if it were yesterday. Menma's death affected him greatly as he sacrificed himself at that cursed mountain. He looked at his nightstand and saw Menma ocarina. He keep it as a memento. He picked up the ocarina and walked out from the cabin. Naruto walked until he is facing the beach and sat crossed-legged. He takes a deep breath and began to play the tune Menma used to played. While Naruto trying to calm his body, he never noticed a man emerged from the water in front of him. But he didn't bother him, so he just stand there and listened to the tune. When he finally stopped, Naruto opened his eyes and was startled to see him. They looked like a huge merman, much larger than the rest, with the upper body of a tall and muscular man, with a long green beard and hair, along with the horns of a bull. "How can I help you?" Naruto asked politely as his body tense, ready to fight if this man proved himself to be a threat. The man smiled. "Calm yourself, Naruto Uzumaki. My name is Oceanus, the Titan of the ocean. Eldest Titan and father of the waters. My sister Ria has tell a lot about you, so I want to meet with you." Naruto eyes widened. "Grandma spoke about me." He inwardly groaned. Ever since he met his grandmother, Ria won't let he go as she want to keep him close as long as she can so she can rub his whisker mark like some plushed toy. He is not a plush toy or a pet, thank you very much. Oceanus chuckled as he heard his sister won't stop talking about her cute grandson. His wife Tethys has been wanting to meet the boy, but fortunately for Naruto she has to visit Amphitrite like usual. "Well Naruto, I won't be long as I only here to give you my blessing." Oceanus spoke as he put his hand on Naruto's shoulder and he glowed brightly for a second. "What exactly are you giving me?" Naruto asked, albeit curiously. Oceanus smirked. "Naruto, I gave you hydrokinesis and atmokinesis, which allowed you to control water and storm easily. I also shredded your Titan blood and energy. So all you will need is 6 more blessing and you immortal," explained Oceanus. Naruto rubbed the back of his neck nervously as he shyly stared at the Titan. "Wow, I don't what to say but thanks," he politely thanked the man as he nodded. "Until next time then Naruto," he said as dispersed in a glob of water. Naruto chuckled at that. He walked to his cabin. There, a pounding on the door. Ms. Jackson sprang out of her bed, rushing toward the door in her nightgown and opened the lock. Grover stood at the doorway. Again a backdrop of pouring rain. "Searching all night?" he gasped. "What were you thinking?" Ms. Jackson looked at them in terror. "Not at them, but why he come?" Percy looked shocked for a moment. He looked dumbly at Grover's legs. Instead of normal legs there were goat legs. "Percy," his mother shouted at him. "What happened at school? What didn't you tell me?" "Ozu kai aloi theoi," Grover yelled. "It's right behind me, didn't you tell her?" "Are you talking about Ms. Dodds, Grover?" Percy asked Grover under the rain, making his mother widen her eyes. Sally grabbed her purse and threw Percy and Naruto a rain jacket. "Go to the car all of you, go." Grover trotted for the Camaro, shaking his shaggy hindquarters in the process. That would explain why he ran so fast and limped when he walked. Naruto narrowed his eyes as he activates his Rinne Sharingan. He could sense monster a miles away. He need to be careful around his surrounding. The group drove the night along with the dark country road. Wind slammed the Camaro and rain lashed against the windshield. Percy looked at Grover oddly. When the lightning flashed he saw his best friend Donkey Legs, while Naruto sighed. What has make his father this mad to make a weather like this? "So, you and my mom knew each other?" Percy asked, trying to break the tension. Grover's eyes flitted into rearview mirror even though there were no cars behind them. "Not exactly," he said. "We not met in person, but she knew I was watching you." "Watching me?" "Keeping tabs on you, making sure you were okay," he explained. "But I wasn't faking being your friend. I am your friend." What are you exactly?" Percy asked. "That doesn't matter right now." "Doesn't matter from the waist down. My best friend is a donkey." He pointed his finger at Grover. "Donkey legs." Grover let out a sharp throaty blah ha ha. Naruto could sense Grover was annoyed by Percy calling him donkey. "Goat," he cried out. "What?" Naruto decided to help him out. "Percy Grove is a Satriya, half human and a half goat." "What? But you would mean about Mr. Brunner myth, are you?" Naruto gave his friend a deadpanned look. "No Percy, I was talking about how Ms. Kami kissed me." His sarcastic remark made Percy blushed in embarrassment. "Wait, so Mr. Brunner taught all this stuff for actually preparing us for this?" "Pretty much," Grover said. "Not only that, but those 3 old ladies were the fates and not the myths, neither with Ms. Dodds." "So you admit there was Ms. Dodds?" Percy exclaimed. "Of course. So what was the point hiding the fact that she was real?" Percy asked. The lesser you know the fewer you attract monsters, Grover explained. We put the mist over mortal eyes. We hope you think the kindly ones were a hallucination, but you starting to realize who you are. Who I? Wait a minute, what are you talking about? Before Grover could even answer, the weird bellowing noise rose up behind them. It was getting closer. Percy, his mother said, there's too much to explain and not enough time. We have to get you to safety. Safety from what? Percy asked, alarmed. Who after us? Oh, nobody much, Grover said, still a bit miffed about the donkey comment. It just the Lord of the Dead and his bloodthirsty monster. Grover. Sorry Ms. Jackson, could you drive faster please? Grover said. While Percy trying to wrap his head about this fact, his mother made a hard left. The swerved through narrower road, racing past farmhouses and wooded hill and pick your own strawberries on a picket fence. Where are we going? Percy asked. The summer camp one told you about. His mother's voice was tight. She is trying for Percy's sake not to be scared. The place your father want to send you. The place you didn't want me to go. Please dear, his mother begged. This is hard enough. Please try to understand, you're in danger. Because some old ladies cut some yarn? Percy asked. Percy, when the fates cut the thread that means someone is going to die, Naruto explained bluntly. Exactly, Grover said. The fact that they appeared in front of you, they only do that when you about to. When someone about to die. Whoa, you said you? Percy freaked out. No I didn't, I said someone, Grover said. That not really comfort us, Grover. Yeah, you meant me, Percy said. I said you like someone, not you. Boys, Sally said as she pulled the wheel hard right, and they got glimpse of a figure she was swerved to avoid. The dark flittering shape now lost in the dark storm behind them. Naruto unsealed the kusanagi in his hand. Itachi gave him the pedophile sword as gift when they meet. Naruto hoped the sword doesn't smell like saliva. We almost there, Sally said. Please, 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 she chanted. There was a lightning flash, a jaw-rattling boom, and the car exploded. Percy pried his forehead off the driver's seat in front of him as his mother called him. I'm okay. They noticed the car is still intact. Percy shook Grover off. Grover. Food, he groaned. Naruto's sweat dropped. Percy, his mother said, we have to. Her voice faltered because when the lightning flashed, they saw a huge figure. Through mud-splashed window. Boys, she said in a deadly tone. Get out of the car. She tried to get out through the driver door, but the mud blocked all the way out. The passenger side, get out and run to the big tree. She yelled, pointing at the said tree as the three of them get out. What? Percy said, confused, until the lightning flashed and they all saw a large pine tree. That the property line, she said. Get over the hill and you see a big farmhouse down in the valley. Run and don't look back. Yell for help. Do not stop until you reach the door. Mom, you coming too? Her face was pale and her eyes as sad as she went look at the ocean. No, Percy shouted. You're coming with us, help me carry Grover. Naruto create a clone and the clone pick up Grover. Percy go with my clone, you too Sally. I hold off him. Percy nodded as he looked at his mom. Naruto don't, he's a monster, Sally said worriedly, concern shining in her eyes. Naruto smiled slightly. Don't worry about me Ms. Jackson, I have my experience against monster, he said as she nodded and run off with Percy and the clone carrying Percy. Suddenly the huge figure appeared in front of him. He has a fur from about the belly button on up and naked except for a pair of bright white Fruit of the Loom underwear. Naruto took a fighting stance. He gripped Kusanagi tighter as he has already formed a plan. He knew the bullman's sight and hearing are terrible, so he must using his smell. He grinned as he unsealed a fart bomb, as he called it. As if on K. The Minotaur bellowed in rage and picked up Gabe Camaro by the torn roof. He raised it above his head and threw it down the road. It slammed into the wet asphalt and skidded in a shower of spark about half a mile before it stopped. The gas tank exploded. Naruto just shrugged and pulled a pin. Threw it at the Minotaur feet. The grenade exploded in a green smoke. The bullman bellowed in rage as he smelled something like a fart, leftover food and animal shit. Naruto rushed toward the bullman and sliced his horns. He then kicked the Minotaur in the chest, making the bullman skidded down the road. A wood stake sprout from Naruto's hand. Naruto then coated the stake with wind chakra and threw it at the rising Minotaur. The stake hit the bullman in the chest, making him flew across the road again. Naruto put his hands into a ram sign and said, Mokutan. Sashiki no Jutsu, wood-style cutting springs jutsu. Suddenly multiple wood spikes came out of the Minotaur back. The bullman then disappeared in a shower of gold dust. Naruto picked up the horns and rushed up the hill, intent to catch up with them. "Come on, Mom!" cried out a hysteric Percy as he watched his mother standing out of the barrier. "Percy, I can't get in," his mother said sadly. "What going on here?" Naruto said as he approached them from behind. "Naruto!" Percy cried out happily as he saw his blonde friend. "I'm sorry, Naruto, but I can't get in," Sally said sadly. Naruto just looked at her for a moment before he said, Naruto Uzumaki give you permission to enter camp." Thunder shook the hillside. Suddenly Sally stumbled past the barrier. Sally hugged Percy as if she let him go now Percy would disappeared. Looking up they saw a familiar face of Mr. Brunner who was giving them a serious look. He also saw a very cute blonde girl beside Mr. Brunner. "One of them has to be. They have to." "Silence, Annabeth," Mr. Brunner said. "They still conscious, bring them inside." Yes, now are you gonna help us or not?" came his sarcastic reply. He couldn't help it, he was dead tired and they were talking right in front of him. Going inside, Naruto helped the girl named Annabeth put Percy and Grover in different cot in the room. My name is Annabeth Chase, by the way," she introduced herself while looking at his red flaming eyes in fascination. "Cool, I guess my name is Naruto Uzumaki." Naruto laid on one of the cot. "If you excuse me, I'm tired and a sleep would be nice." With that he drifted into Morpheus' realm and snore loudly. "Still never ceases to amaze me," Mr. Brunner said, making the girl jump and Sally to giggle. "Which one?" "All three. They protected each other in school, though Naruto seemed to be a natural fighter," he replied. Naruto woke up in a start as he bolted up into his inn, scaring Annabeth for a moment. "Ooh, don't do that." "Sorry," he said as he scratching the back of his neck. He unsealed the horn and looked at Percy who was still knocked out. He turned to Annabeth and asked, "Anyway, where Miss Jackson?" Quote, "She is staying at Hermes' cabin for right now," Mr. Brunner said while walking in. Naruto smiled at the teacher. "Hey Mr. Brunner," he said with slight wave, making the two to sweat drop at him for his laid-back attitude. Mr. Brunner chuckled a bit. "Naruto here, I am called Chiron." Naruto was looked confused for a moment before he connect the dots. Holy shit, this is Chiron? Trainer of heroes, he activate his Rinne Sharingan, startling Annabeth and Chiron. He saw the wheelchair has a energy around them. "I assume that your wheelchair hide you horse seh?" he stated bluntly, making Chiron eyebrow twitched and Annabeth giggled. Chiron sighed before he nodded. "Well, that explained it. So, how long I was out?" "Just last night. You shouldn't be even up," Annabeth said, frowning slightly at him. Naruto shrugged. "Meh, I always a fast healer." That make Annabeth look at him curiously while Chiron looked thoughtful. "Maybe you could be Lord Apollo child since his children always can heal themselves," Chiron guessed. He shrugged again. It too early to tell." Annabeth and Chiron nodded at that, while on the inside Naruto was laughing. "Him child of Apollo? Sure, when he was a kid he looked a lot like Apollo, except that his hair are more golden color and his eyes a sapphire. Apollo has a sandy hair and normal blue color for eyes." "Annabeth, could you please get some ambrosia and nectar? It should help him recover faster," Chiron told her as the girl nodded left to do what is asked. "Oh, I almost forgot, I keep this for you." Chiron gave him his kusanagi. "Thanks," he said as he put sword on his back. Annabeth then walked back in carrying a bowl of golden liquid. Naruto took it from her and stared at it for a moment before he take a sip. Maybe he shouldn't have done that. It tastes like as if Amaterasu flame put in his mouth. He spit it out and screamed, water, what the hell do you give me?" Chiron and Annabeth look at him in shock. He told Annabeth to get normal water. After a while Annabeth came back in and give him a normal water. He took it and drink as if he hasn't drink for months. "So, you immortal?" Krian said, still shocked at this revelation. "Yeah, I'm immortal," he said as he panted. "Well, this is shocking, but if so, how do you even get into camp?" "Zeus created a barrier so that monster and mortal can't get in," Chiron said. He shrugged. "Maybe because I'm a sage?" he said, uncertain. His father has told him that while he is their son, he's still immortal. Sooner or later he is going to be a god, but they don't know when. They told him thank for his sage training he could be inside camp half-blood. "You're a sage?" Annabeth asked curiously and excited to know how a sage harness nature energy. A sage is very rare these days. Could you show me Mr. Uzumaki? Chiron muttered and then asked him. I have two sage mod. One is nature energy and the second is wood sage. Which one do you want to see first? He asked. The nature one first please. Naruto nodded, then he sit crossed leg like the toads tell him. He sits so still they could mistake him as a statue. He takes a deep breath and calm his mind, ignoring and blocking everything around him. Chiron then felt nature coursing through Naruto body. He saw Fox Kid running toward Naruto and sat on his lap, nuzzling they muzzle against his stomach, but Naruto didn't even flinch from the contact. He noticed the flower in the pot around them glowing happily. When Naruto opened his eyes, they were startled by his eyes. Instead of normal red flames eyes, now they have a bar crossed in them and around his eyes has a orange hue. He smiled and pet the fox behind the ears as the fox purred happily at the attention he is giving them. Annabeth cooed at the cute scene. Naruto then cut the connection with nature and shooing the fox kits to go back with their mother except one that was on his lap. The kid was giving him a sad puppy fox eyes that making him sigh and put him on his head making the fox yipping happily. Well, that is very impressive, Naruto. Now can you show us wood sage now? Chiron request. He nodded and then his eyes has black lining around them with a bull cross on his forehead. He hover his hand above the flower and almost instantly the flower bloom more beautiful. Chiron and Annabeth watching it with wide eyes before Chiron get out of his shock. So, would sage help get you stronger with plants? He asked as Naruto nodded. Chiron then said, now I will have a camper show you the cabins later for later, then you come back here. When Percy wake up I will tell more of this as I don't want to say this twice. Fair enough, he said as he followed Chiron out. Annabeth please continue watch over Percy please, Chiron said while Annabeth pouted at not have a chance to know Naruto more. Once outside Naruto raised a brow, this place pretty big. He looked around to see that the big pine tree was not far from them. He activated his eyes again and saw a soul in the tree. He shrugged, it could be a Dyrad. He looked at the cabins in a U-shaped arc. Chiron called out a girl, Clarice come here please. The girl turned and saw the guy who defeat Minotaur everyone talking about. She smirked and made her way toward them. She has fair skin, brown eyes and a long messy pale brown hair. A strong but feminine build, she looked gruff and had the look of a fighter. What came her response? I would like if you show Naruto here around the cabins for a moment. I will probably have Annabeth show Percy around the camp later when the latter wake up, Chiron said. Fine, gotta welcome the newbie anyway, she said with an evil smirk. Naruto noticed and raised a brow before he grinned deviously but went unnoticed except Chiron who shake his head in sympathy at the girl fate. Well come on brat, she called out already walking ahead of him. He follow her all the way onto middle of the cabin's arc. Okay listen cause I'm gonna say this one. There are 12 cabins in all. Each one represent the Greek gods it was made for. The kids are the one who lives in there. Since you and the runt are new and have not been claimed yet, you two are going cabin 11, Hermes cabin. Naruto nodded at that and smiling slightly at his kind-hearted brother for letting other kids stay at his cabins. So which one are you? She pointed at cabin 5 inches the god of war cabin. Naruto looked where she pointed at and sweat drop. His brother cabin is scruffily painted with an angry red color, has barbed wire lining the roof, and a stuffed boar's head on the doorway. The eyes of the boar seem to stare at whoever is walking by. Activate his Rinne Sharingan, they are also live landmines surrounding the entrance. With Naruto's sensitive hearing he could hear rock music blaring from it at times. Cool, he drawled with sarcasm in his voice. Clarice didn't notice, right. Now we got other cabins, we got Demeter, Dionysus, Athena, Apollo, Aphrodite, Hephaestus, Hera, Zeus, Artemis and Poseidon, she said pointing at each cabins. He looked at his father cabin and sweat drop, a little bit excessive dad. He thought dryly, his father cabin looking like a white marble box, with heavy, white columns in the front. This cabin is the biggest and bulkiest of all the cabins. It has polished bronze doors that shimmer like a hologram, and have lightning bolts streaked down them. He took a glance at his mother cabin and nodded, approving at how his mother cabin looked. His mother cabin is made out of marble and is shaped like a box. The cabin is more graceful than Zeus' cabin with slimmer white columns, garlanded with pomegranates and flowers. The walls are carved with images of her symbol, the peacocks. He decided when he has been claimed he would live his mother cabin rather than his father. Though he was confused as to why his aunt Hestia and uncle Hades does not have cabin, sure he know that his aunt are no longer an Olympian as she gave her seat to his half-brother Dionysus, and Hades is not an Olympian but his mother and Artemis does not have a offspring demigod. They were merely an honorary cabin, so why Hestia and Hades doesn't have a honorary cabin? He shook his head, all this thinking make his head hurt. Now, it is to, officially, welcomed you, Clarice stated loudly, making a lot of people's looking towards them and grimaced. Clarice was breaking another newbie. Even though Naruto helped killing Minotaur they still feel sorry for him. She quickly reacted out and tried to grab his collar. The keyword is, tried, as soon as she rushed toward him. Naruto, disappear in flower petal, getting shocked gasp from everyone. Then a fast-growing tree coiling itself around Clarice. She struggled to break free, and then Naruto emerged from the tree trunk. Everyone looked at him with wide eyes in shock. Naruto just smiled at them and said, Megan. Jubaku Satsu. Genjutsu Sylvan Fetters, Demon Illusion Tree Binding Death. Then he clenched his hand into fist with his arm cocked back, then punched Clarice's face. Everyone blinked rapidly before they gasped as they all saw Clarice was on the ground and Naruto standing in front of her. What the hell is that? It felt real. She thought with a shiver as she felt Naruto punch pierced her head. It's a genjutsu. She looked up and saw he smiling at her, making her blush and look away. Genjutsu? She asked. He nodded, yes, or in English illusion, he stated, making her eyes widened. That is an illusion. What the hell? It felt real, she shouted at him. If that illusion make her feel like real one, she don't want to know how strong he is. He nodded again and winked at her, making her blush deepened. Yes, and never, and I mean never underestimated illusion, he said firmly while she nodded her head. He offered his hand and she grabbed it, pulling her to her feet, and they walked to the big house. Arriving at the big house, Chiron noticed Naruto looking bored and Clarice has a tomato blush on her face. He raised a brow at her. Well, it looked like Clarice has a crush on the blonde. He mused as he saw the girl kept sneaking a glance at the blonde and would blush here and there while the said blonde was oblivious to the girl next to him. Back already, I see, he started. Since Percy won't be fully awake tomorrow, I would like for you to stay near here. Alright, I'm going to meet the cabin counselor if you wouldn't mind, he said. Before even Chiron could reply, he disappeared in flower petal with no trace of him there, as if he didn't even there at the beginning. He sighed as Clarice walked away with a pink hue at her cheek. Naruto appeared in the middle of the arc cabins. He looked around and wondered who he should visit first. He decided to go cabin 9. His brother Hephaestus' cabin. He walked toward cabin and he knocked on the door. The entrance is like a vault door, circular, and of thick metal. The door opens with a lot of gears turning and smoke hissing to reveal a teenager about his age. She is wearing a tank top and a red bandana to tie back her dark hair. She is also having cocoa brown skin. She coughed rapidly and waving her hand around trying to get the smoke away. When the smoke cleared, she looked at him and blushed a bit at his handsome face. She seemed to be in a daze as she looked at his whisker mark in fascination. Naruto chuckled slightly as she blushed even harder at his laugh. Even his laugh is beautiful. Is he son of Aphrodite? He waved his hand in front of her face, snapping her out of her dazed. Her blush could put Tomato to shame as she was embarrassed that she stared at him. Anyway, my name is Naruto Uzumaki. What your? He introduced himself, offering his hand to shake. She shyly took it. Nissa, my name is Nissa Barrera. She shook her hand along with his. So Naruto, what bring you here? She asked. I was kinda hoping to meet my family even though I have not been claimed yet. Can I come in? He asked politely while she nodded. Sure, come on. She took his hand and dragged him inside cabin. They never noticed a gray eyes blonde hair female pouting, and a certain daughter of Ares was glaring at the back of Nissa's head in jealousy. Naruto looked around inside cabin with curiosity shining in his eyes. It has shiny metal walls and metal slatted doors. Naruto noticed the cabin being unclean and messy, filled with junk often. There is a tunnel underneath it. Naruto, this is Charles Beckendorf, our cabin counselor, she said, pointing at a huge 18-year-old African-American teen with a permanent scowl. Muscles like a pro ballplayer's, and hands like catcher's mitts, which were calloused from working in the armory all day. He has brown eyes and black hair. "Ah, you Naruto, right, the new camper that killed the Minotaur," Charles said with a kind smile while Naruto rubs the back of his neck in embarrassment. "Yeah, though I don't know why everyone make big deal out of it," he said, making Charles laugh, and Nissa giggled. Naruto to defeat a Minotaur, alone I might add, is an impressive feat itself. Charles praised embarrassed Naruto even farther, making Nissa giggled even harder. "By the way, you fought Naruto, are you a shinobi?" Charles asked curiously, making Nissa look at him. Naruto was surprised at this. Not even Kairan know that he was a ninja. "Yeah, how did you know?" "Well, I was helping Kairan around the big house and I saw Kairan holding your sword. I noticed the sword is not something I ever seen. It a long double-edged sword, and when Kairan almost accidentally cut a celestial bronze sword, your sword actually cut the bronze sword as if it was a butter," he said, amazed by the said sword. "Can I take a look at it?" he said almost pleadingly. Naruto shrugged. "Sure, knock yourself out." He drew his sword from his back and gave it to Charles, who was examining the sword in amazement. "Does it have other abilities?" he asked. Naruto nodded. "The sword can quickly extend and retract its blade to attack from long distances, be controlled telekinetically according to my command, and cut through almost anything," he said in a matter-of-fact tone, making Charles and Nissa jaw to dropped. Can you show it to me?" he said, handing the blade back to Naruto. Naruto took the blade and pointed it at dummy practice that in the cabin. He mentally commanded the sword to extend, and the sword extend indeed. The sword extend about half across the room before the tip pierced the dummy practice chest and literally shredded the whole dummy in the process, making Charles and Nissa jaw to drop even more if that possible. Naruto chuckled seeing their faces and mentally command the sword to retract, and the sword indeed retract into its normal length. Naruto throw the sword at the next practice dummy and the sword hit the dummy in the head. The head followed the ground while the sword hover above its headless body. Naruto mentally command the sword to his hand and the sword flew back and Naruto grabbed it before he put it on his back. Naruto turned to look at them and laughed at the faces they making. That seemed to snap out of their dazed and was looking at the sword in awe. Naruto yawned. "Welp, I better get some sleep, so good evening Nissa, Charles," he said. "Wait Naruto." Charles rushed forward and grabbed his arm, making him raised an eyebrow. "Could you let me take a look at the sword for the night?" he requested, surprised Naruto. "There is no harm in it," Naruto mused. "Sure," he said, making Charles and Nissa beamed at him, though the latter was sad that Naruto won't be staying with them any longer. "But in return I want a few favor Charles," he said, making Charles nod his head violently. "Sure, what do you want?" he asked in a fast manner. "Want to examine the sword now?" Naruto chuckled at Charles' enthusiasm. "Can you add celestial bronze to my sword, but just the edge though?" he asked. "Sure," came a happy reply. Naruto nodded as he gave his sword to Charles before heading out of the cabin and heading to the big pine tree to take a nap. Naruto opened his eyes before he bolted. Already standing, he looked around his surrounding. He was in a large white room with music that was annoying to his ears. He turned around and saw a teenager behind him, staring at him in shock. She has shoulder-length spiky black hair, electric blue eyes and freckles across her nose. Naruto noted that she was built like a long-distance runner, lithe and strong, and she wore clothes that were somewhere between punk and goth. A black t-shirt, black tattered jeans, and a leather jacket. Naruto smiled at her and she couldn't help but smiled back. His smile is infectious. "Hello, my name is Naruto Uzumaki. What's your name and where are we?" She took a deep breath and said, "I'm Talia and we in Limbo." "Limbo? You mean I'm actually in other realm?" he asked, confused by the turn of event. "You guessed as good as mine," Talia shrugged. Naruto walked toward her and offered his hand. "I assumed you a demigod?" Quote. Talia shook his hand as she sent lightning through his arm, though she was shocked when the lightning just coiled around his arm like a snake and dissipated in a lightning show, making him looking badass. Naruto chuckled at her expression. "Sorry, but lightning and wind won't work on me." She looked at him. "Are you demigod of Zeus?" she asked while scowling at the last part. He shook his head. "No Talia, I'm immortal, albeit with special power. And I just arrived here yesterday with my friend Percy and Grover." "Grover? Yeah, you heard of him," he said while backing up a bit at the volume of her shout. "He the Satri who found me, Luke and Annabeth. How are they, by the way?" Grover trying to protect Percy with his crippled facade, but it didn't work for him. "Annabeth is doing okay from what I have seen," he replied with a shrug. "And I have not seen Luke guy yet." How long you in here? Anyway, I think more than 5 years. Naruto felt himself awaken. Well, I think I about to go now. Talia hugged his arm. Can you visit me when you can? It pretty boring at here. She gave him wide electric baby blue eyes as she pouted at him. Naruto twitched at the sight before he sighed. Alright, I visit you at least afternoon. He smiled at her. Who the hell created that cursed puppy dog eyes technique anyway? Talia beamed at him and gave him a kiss on the cheek before she released him from her with a blush on her face. Okay, I see you later, Naruto, she shyly said. Naruto blushed before he disappeared. Back in the normal world, Naruto saw it already morning. Didn't think I'm in limbo that long. Getting up and headed back to the big house, he saw Annabeth, Grover, Chiron there around a table with his brother Dionysus. Well, I thought you disappeared, Chiron said, fully looking at him. Oh, I just fell asleep on my dimension, he said. Dimension? Annabeth asked, blinking at him. It's complicated, he said while she pouted at him at the lack of information. Anyway, I would like you meet these two, Chiron said. Naruto look at the other one is with Surfer build with eyes all over his body, and the other one is his half-brother. These two are Argus and Mr. D respectively. Naruto nodded while Mr. D looked at him before he chuckled. Well, I didn't expect for you to be here, brother, he said, making Grover, Annabeth and Chiron eyes widened in shock at what Mr. D just said. Naruto chuckled. This coming from a man who has been punished to be here. Dionysus grumbled at the jab before resuming his game. So Grover, how are you feeling? He said as he turned his head to look at Grover. That bring Grover out of his shock. Better, but it was still sucked that I was no use. I am sure you will get another chance in the future, Grover. He smiled at Grover, who smiled back. He couldn't help but to believe Naruto's words. A while later, Percy woke up and Grover took him aside to talk a bit. When they got back, that is when things get interesting. Percy looked at the end of the porch where everyone was and gasped. The man he saw was Mr. Brunner there. Then he saw some fat man playing some game with them. There was the blonde-haired girl who was feeding popcorn flavor pudding leaning on the railing of the pouch, and there is Naruto who is drinking sake while the fat man keeps sending him a jealous glance. Mr. Brunner, he cried out. The Latin teacher turned and smiled at him. His eyes had that mischievous glint that sometimes got in class. When he pulled a pop quiz and made all the multiple choice answer B. All good, Percy, he said, now we have 4 for Pinnacle. He offered Percy a chair to the right of Mr. D, who looked at him with bloodshot eyes and heaved a great sigh. Oh, I suppose I must say it. Welcome to Camp Half-Blood. Now don't expect me to be glad to see you, Naruto just sighed at his half-blood brother. Thanks. Perk scooted a little farther away from him. If there was one thing he hard learned from living with Gabe, it was how to tell when an adult has been hitting the happy juices. If Mr. D was stranger to alcohol, he were a satyr. Annabeth? Mr. Brunner called to the blonde girl. She came forward and Mr. Brunner introduced them. This young lady nursed you back to health, Percy. Annabeth dear, why don't you go check on Percy bunk? We be putting him along with Naruto in cabin 11 for now. Annabeth nodded. Sure, Chiron. While looking at the girl, Percy was checking her out, but not in perverted way. She has long, curly blonde hair like a princess. Percy noted that she looked like a typical California girl. Except her stormy gray eyes ruined the image. She was looking at him with her calculating eyes. Looks like as if she'd chosen a target in the distance and was going to march over and destroy it. You drool when you sleep, with that she walk away. Percy was confused for a moment before Naruto burst out laughing like crazy. Ha 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 ha, you were checking her out, No wonder she look at you as if she want to destroy. Wait, what about you? When did you wake up? Percy snapped with a raging blush on his face while Mr. D smirked. I'm eat the blue cookie, Percy. That how I'm healing so fast? He teased while Percy pouted at the jab of his favorite food before he perked his head up. Wait, Naruto, where my mother? Percy asked frantically. Naruto just waved off his concern. Oh, don't worry, you mother at cabin 11 right now. I even sent a shadow clone to make sure she okay. Percy smiled grateful at his prank-loving white-net friend. He sometimes wonder if he'd been blessed by a god to have a friend like him. Anyway, are you work here, Mr. Brunner? Not Mr. Brunner, the ex-Latin teacher said. I'm afraid that was pseudonym. You may call me Chiron. Okay, totally confused. Percy looked at the director, and Mr. D. Does that stand for something? Naruto eyebrow twitch. He wondered if his blue food-loving friend had learned anything throughout this ordeal. Mr. D stopped shuffling the cards and looked at Percy as if he belched loudly. Young man, names are powerful things. You don't just go around and use them for no reason. Oh right, sorry. I must say Percy, Chiron broke in. I'm glad to see you alive. It's been a long time since I've made a house call to a potential campers. I hate to think I wasted my times. House call? Quote, my years at Yancy Academy to instruct you. We have satries at most school, of course, keeping a lookout, but Grover alerted me as soon as he find you. He sensed you were something special. So I decided to come upstate. I convinced the other Latin teacher to take leave of absence. This made Naruto snort loudly while Chiron sent a suspicious glance at him. He knew what happened to the other Latin teacher. Chiron used the mist to manipulate the Latin teacher to leave. Thanks to his eyes, he saw energy surround the former Latin teacher, but he didn't react as soon he saw Chiron walked in and become the new Latin teacher for the rest of the years. Then we had Naruto transfer in and we knew he is strong like you as well, though I was shocked that his cannot eat the food of the gods. Anyway, one powerful demigod is rare and I'm glad we got you here safely. Percy tried to remember the beginning of the school year. It seemed lieutenant like so long ago. But he did have a fuzzy memory of the first Latin teacher before he, mysteriously, disappeared and Mr. Brunner came in class and Naruto transferred in and things weren't that bad. You came to Yancy just to teach me? Chiron nodded. Honestly, I wasn't sure about you at first. We contacted your mother to let her know we were keeping eyes on you just in case you were ready for Camp Half-Blood, but you still has so much to learn. Nevertheless, you made it here alive and that always the first. Well, I got help from Naruto. Percy winced a bit at the mini-training Naruto gave him. We know, and I'm glad you both made it in peace. Grover, Mr. D said impatiently, are you playing or not? Quote, yes sir. Grover trembled as he took the fourth chair, though he couldn't figure out why Grover should be afraid of a pudgy little man in a tiger print Hawaiian shirt. You do know how to play pinochle? Mr. D eyed him suspiciously. Of course he know Naruto didn't know how to play and his still have a winning streaks. How did he know? He saw Naruto's smirking face. Thank you Nike, he prayed to Nike for she giving him full blessing luck. He still remember the day he first met her. Flashback. Naruto were wander through Olympus after breakfast with his family. He was looking for Athena temple since his father told him to go there for examination. The reason why is because lately after a spar with Artemis and Apollo, Artemis accidentally bit his neck. How the hell she managed to do that they never know. Apollo was laughing like a madman and teased his lil sis, giving their new brother a hickey. Making Artemis blush madly at the jab, she chased Apollo through Olympus and threatened to kill him if he ever let this accident spread through Olympus. While the twin archer playing catch the Apollo, he wiped his neck where the mark should been. Instead of normal red blood, they were mixed with some golden liquid. He go to his mother temple for answer, and when he tell his mother about it, his mother has squalled in joy for two reasons. One, her son is becoming an Olympian, and two, her husband daughter has been giving her son a hickey. Meaning Artemis has a crush on Naruto and marked him for herself. Naruto just sweat dropped at his mother. Just he was about to turn left, he was tackled to the ground by a dark hair missile. He looked down and saw a woman snuggle against him. She is a tall and beautiful goddess, wearing a glittering sleeveless dress, with her dark hair in piled up braids circled with a gilded laurel wreath. Her expression is wide-eyed and a little crazy. She has a gold-tipped spear strapped into her waist and has wings of polished gold, which glitter so brightly. Hey miss, are you okay? Naruto asked her politely but was taken aback by her wide-eyed expression. She was smelling him furiously and trying to lick him at times. Why are you so sweet? She panted as she continued smelling him, trying to remember his scent and his look. After the Prince of Olympus returned home, she couldn't stop looking at his direction every time. She doesn't know why, but he quickly become addicted and obsessed with him. Okay. Do you mind letting me go? I have an exam to do. He tried to gently push her off, but her grip on him just tightened even more. No. Why not? Because you're cute. Naruto just staring at her. Okay, this getting awkward. He didn't know how to respond to her advance, so he just marched toward Athena temple to get his examination. Once he was there, he was confused why Athena glaring coldly at this woman. He looked at her eyes and saw jealousy. Okay, this is getting freaky. Once Athena pried the woman off of him, she threw her out of temple harshly, but before the door of her temple closed he saw the woman give him a wink and kissing motion. Flashback end. I'm afraid not, sir, Mr. D corrected him. Sir, Percy replied. He likes for camp director is less and less. Well, Mr. D replied, Hestia. It is along with Gladiator Fight NG and Pac-Man. One of the greatest game invented by humans. I expect all civilized young man to know the rules. I'm sure the boy can learn, Chiron said. Please, Percy said, what is this place? What I am doing here, Mr. Brew. Chiron, why would you go to Yancey Academy just to teach me? Mr. D snorted, I asked the same question. The camp director dealt the card and Grover flinched every time one landed on his pile. Chiron smiled at Perk sympathetically. The way he used to in Latin class, as if to let Percy know that no matter what Percy average was, I was his star student. He expected me to have right answer. Percy, he said, did your mother tell you nothing? She said. He remembered her sad eyes looking out over the sea. She told me she was afraid to send me here, even though my father had wanted her to. She said once I was here, I probably couldn't leave, she wanted to keep me close to her. Typical, Mr. D said. That how they usually get killed. He was cut off by Naruto, who released Madara godly enchants chakra, making all of them choke their own spit. His eyes has a ripple with Tomo pattern in them. Finish that sentence, Dionysus. Mr. D knew his brother is pissed if he used his full name, and you punishment in the camp isn't the only thing you received, he said deadly serious. Mr. D broke out of his sweat and said shakily, in any way young man are you bidding or not? What? Chiron explained patiently. How you bid in pinnacle as Mr. D still sweating while Naruto glared at him with his godly eyes. I'm afraid they're too much to tell, Chiron said. I'm AFAID out, usual orientation film won't be sufficient. Orientation film? Percy asked and then rounded on Naruto, who was still glaring at Mr. D, and you didn't even look surprised at this stuff at all. Naruto cut his glaring at Mr. D, who released a relief sigh. Percy, my time as ninja I have seen a lot of weird shit. I have seen a sword coming from out a man's stomach through his mouth, and that is disgusting. I have seen a man who appeared to be immortal and loved to spread carnage in Jashin name. I have seen a hybrid man and a Shrock combination. Hell, I'm not even from this world, and seeing all of this is not so surprising, he told Percy, who had a green face at the weird thing Naruto just told him. Good God, who the hell put a sword in their stomach? Chiron looked disturbed at this information. Well, Percy, Chiron started, you know you friend Grover a satyr, you know. He pointed at the shoebox Percy was holding. That you have seen the Minotaur. What you may not know is that great power are at work in your life. Gods, the forces you called Greek gods, are very much alive. Percy stared at the other around the table. He waited for somebody to yell not, but all he got is Mr. D yelling, oh, a royal marriage trick. Trick? He cackled as he tallied up his points, and Naruto has a cold look on his face. Mr. D, Grover asked timidly, if you're not going to eat it, can I have your Diet Coke can? Naruto just grabbed the can and gave it to his friend who was looking at him. Astounded that he just take the can. Naruto glared at Mr. D, who nodded his head rapidly. Grover took it and chewed it mournfully. Wait, Percy said to Chiron. You mean there's such things as gods? Well now, Chiron said, God capital G. God, that a different matter altogether, we shouldn't deal with metaphysical. Metaphysical? But you were just talking about gods plural, as in being that control the forces of nature and human endeavors, the immortal gods of and goddesses, Naruto cut in helpfully. Chiron chuckled. Yes, Naruto, and goddesses of Olympus, that is smaller matters. Smaller? Yes, quite, the gods we discussed in Latin class. Seeing this, Naruto intervened. Percy, remember about the bloodlines I told you about? Percy nodded. Well, think that along Greek mythology we learned in class, and we got something very power living. Percy eyes widened. You mean zoo? Naruto slapped his hand to Percy's mouth before he could continue. Percy, like your mother said, names are powerful. He reminded him and pull his hand back. But they stories, Percy said, they myths to explain lightning and the season and stuff. They what people believed before there were science. Science, Mr. D scoff, and tell me Perseus Jackson. Percy flinched when the man said his real name. What will people think of your science 2,000 years from now, Mr. D continued. They will call it primitive mumbo-jumbo. That's what I love mortal. They have absolutely no sense of perspective. They think they have come so far, and have they, Chiron? Look at this boy and tell me. Percy, Chiron said, you may choose to believe or not, but the fact is that immortal mean immortal. Can you imagine that for a moment, never dying, never fading, existing just as you are for all time? Naruto winced internally at that. Watching you loved ones died slowly by aging isn't something you want, but sooner or later he is going to be a god. He has no desire to be immortal, but apparently he doesn't have a choice. You mean whether people believe in you or not? Percy asked. Exactly, Chiron said, if you were a god. How would you like being called a myth, an old story to explain lightning? What if I told you, Perseus Jackson, that someday people would call you a myth? Just created how to explain little boys can get over losing their mothers. Naruto winced some more. People back in Elemental Nation called the Sage of Six Path a myth in the end? A war. A war to fight your loved one that once dead and watching your comrade there dying right in front your two own eyes. I wouldn't like it, but I don't believe gods, Percy said, making Naruto grimaced in pain. Oh, you better, Mr. D murmured, before one of them incinerates you. Please say sir, he has rough day, Grover said. A lucky things too, Mr. D grumbled. Playing his card, bad enough I'm confined to this job, working with who don't even believe. He waved his hand and a goblet appeared on the table, as if the sunlight had bent momentarily and woven the air into the glass, the goblet filled with red wine. Mr. D, Chiron warned, your restrictions. Mr. D looked at the glass and feigned surprise. Dear me. He looked at the sky and yelled, old habits, sorry. More thunders boomed. Naruto snatched the glass and drank it, making his brother eyebrow twitched, and Chiron looked shocked at the bold move. You do know demigod cannot drink alcohol, right? Dionysus smirked at him in triumph for all the prank he get from his brother. Naruto just smirked back at him. Well yes Dionysus, but you forget about one thing. He leaned forward and stared at Mr. D intensely, making he sweat a bit. I'm a mortal, not a demigod, so the rule doesn't apply to me. Mr. D just stared at him in shock before he pouted while Naruto teasingly drank the wine in front of him and sighed dramatically. Ah, that is one sweet, sweet wine. Dionysus couldn't help but to nod at that. Chiron wink. Mr. D offended his father a while back, took a fancy for a wood nymph who had been declared off limit. Naruto just scowled at that. A wood nymph? Percy repeated, staring at the goblet in Naruto's hand like it was from outer space. Yes. Mr. D confessed, father loves punish to me. The first time, prohibition, ghastly, absolutely horrid 10 years. The second time, well, she really was pretty and I couldn't get away. The second time he sent me here, Half-Blood Hill, summer camp for brats like you. Be a better influence, he told me. Working with youths rather than tearing them down. Absolutely unfair. Mr. D sounding about 6-year-olds, pouting like a little kid's. Well, if you keep your in your pant and maybe you won't be here in the first place, Naruto said, making Dionysus look away in shame. D immortales Chiron. Mr. D said, I thought you taught this boy the basics. My father is Zeus, of course. Percy went through the D name he had learned about and found one that matched Mr. D, though he was not as subtle like his friend. You're Dionysus, he said, the god of wine. Mr. D rolled his eyes. What do they say these days, Grover? Do the children say? Well duh. Yes Mr. D. Then well duh Percy Jackson, did you think I was Aphrodite perhaps? Mr. D asked, irritated, while Naruto winced for Dionysus. Poor bastard. He probably get her curse if she hear him say that. You're a god. Yes child. A god you? Percy repeated, unable to comprehend it. Mr. D turned to look at Percy straight on. He saw a kind of purplish fire in his eyes. Unknown to Mr. D, Naruto red flaming eyes change into Rinne Sharingan and he blocked the illusion Dionysus trying to show in Percy's eyes. Would you like to test me, child? Mr. D asked quietly. Wah? Percy asked, confused. Test him what? Dionysus' eyes twitched. He was about to snap his finger, changing this insolent brat into dolphin until crunch. Mr. D held his broken hand in pain. He looked at his half-brother and shivered at the look he was giving him. Did Naruto gain deadly glare from his mother Hera and grandmother Rhea? Touch the boy Dionysus, he said demonically, making Dionysus sweat, and I kill you. God or not, you will die. Understand? Mr. D nodded rapidly while the other was shocked he injured the god. Percy, let's take a walk, shall we? Naruto smiled at Percy warmly, making the boy nod dumbly. Well, this is interesting, Chiron thought as he watched the camp director broken hand healed itself at fast speed. After Percy got over his shock, he ran to Chiron alongside Naruto. They started the tour of the camp. Past the volleyball pit, several campers nudged each other. One of them pointed at the minotaur horn Naruto was holding. It's them. Naruto chuckled at the tree binding thing they were talking. Percy looked at Naruto with a deadpanned expression. Really, tree binding? Naruto smirked. It's better than snake binding, isn't it? He said darkly. Percy shuddered and looked away from him. As they walked, they saw everyone doing activities and Satris joining them in their activities with orange camp half-blood shirt and nothing else. Hey, Percy said. What is up there? He pointing at the 4-story of the big house they just leave. Chiron looked at Percy pointing and his smile faded. Naruto raised a brow. Just the attic. Somebody lives there? Nobody, he said with finality. Not a single living thing. Naruto was curious. The way Chiron said it as if there's someone up there, but he refused to say he or she is alive. Only Percy saw the curtain moves. Come along, boys, Chiron said, his light-hearted tone now forced. Lots to see. They walked through the strawberries field, where campers were picking bushels of berries, while Satris played a tune with reed pipes. Listening to Chiron tells them these strawberries pay for the camp expense. Grover won't get too much trouble, will he? Percy asked. I mean, he was good protector, really. Chiron sighed. He shed his tweed jacket and draped at his back horse-like saddle. Grover has big dream, Percy, perhaps bigger than one reasonable. To reach his goals, he must demonstrate great courage by succeeding as a keeper, finding a new camper and bring him safely to Camp Half-Blood. But he did that, Percy exclaimed. I might agree with you, Chiron said, but it's not my place to judge. Dionysus and the Council of Cloven Elders must decide. I'm afraid they might not see this assignment as a success. After all, Grover lost you too in New York. And the fact Grover was unconscious when Naruto brought him into property line. The council might question whether this courage on Grover's part. He get a second chances, won't he? Percy asked. Chiron winced. I'm afraid that was Grover's second chance, Percy. The council was not anxious to give him another, either after what happened the first time, 5 years ago. Olympus no, I advised him to wait longer before trying again. He's still so small for his age. How old is he? Quote, 28. What, and he in 6th grade? Satri mature half as fast as human. Percy, Grover has been equivalent of a middle school student for the past 6 years. That's horrible, Percy said while Naruto pity for his friend. Quiete, Chiron said, at any rate Grover is a late bloomer, even at Satri's standards, and not yet very accomplished at woodland magic. Alas, he were anxious to pursue his dream. Perhaps now he will find other career. That not fair, Percy said. What happened the first time? Was it really so bad? Chiron looked away quickly. Let move along, shall we? Percy did not convinced but didn't want to anger Chiron. Chiron, Percy said, if gods and Olympus and all that is real? Quote, yes, child? Quote, does that mean underworld is real too? Chiron's expression visibly darkened. Yes, child. He paused as if choosing his words carefully. There is a place where spirits go after death, but for now, until we know more. I would urge you to put that out of your mind. What do you mean, until we know more? Come, Percy, let go see the woods. They reached the edge of the forest. Once they saw it, the forest was huge. It took up at least a quarter of the valley, with trees so tall and thick. Naruto smiled happily at the scene. I guess this is my third homes. Percy looked at Naruto and pat his shoulder. Naruto has told him about Konoha many times before. Percy wondered if one day he could visit Naruto's birthplace. Chiron said to them, the woods are stocked, if you care to try your luck, but go armed. Stocked with what? Percy asked, a little freak out now. Armed with what? You see, capture the flag is Friday night. Do you have your own sword and shield? My own. No, Chiron said. I don't suppose you do. I think a size 5 will do. I will visit the armory later. Sword and spear fight? Percy asked. Cabin challenges and all that, he explained, non-lethal usually. Oh yes, and there the mess hall. Chiron pointed to an outdoor pavilion frame in white Grecian columns on a hill overlooking sea. There were dozens stone picnic tables, no roof, no walls. I'm hungry now, Naruto said as his stomach let out a beastly roar making Percy jump at the sound and Chiron chuckled. Finally they reached the cabins Naruto has seen earlier. The collection of 12 cabins is very odd to Percy. In the center of the field was a huge stone-lined fire pit. Naruto saw his aunt there tending the flame, poking the coals with a stick. She noticed his gaze and smiled warmly at him making he smiled back at her. Percy looked at the huge mausoleum, like cabins at the bend of U, and Percy instantly knew who they were for, Zeus and Hera. Correct, Chion said. Their cabins look empty. Several of the cabins are that true but no one ever stays those two, Chiron explained making Naruto smirk. Oh, if only you knew Chiron, he mused. Percy seemed to be staring at cabin 3, Poseidon cabin. Poseidon's cabin is low, long and solid, with all the windows facing the sea. The outer walls are rough gray stone with pieces of seashell and coral and look like the bottom of the ocean floor. Curious, Percy tried to take a peek inside. Chiron said, "Oh, I wouldn't do that." But Percy was already inside. Poseidon's cabin is low, long and solid, with all the windows facing the sea. The outer walls are rough gray stone with pieces of seashell and coral and look like the bottom of the ocean floor. "Come on, Percy," he said as he led them away from the cabin. "Hey, where are all the other centaurs?" Percy asked. "No," Chiron said sadly. "My kinsmen are wild and barbaric folks. I'm afraid you might encounter in the wilderness or at major sporting events but you won't see them here." "You said your name was Chiron?" Percy asked. "Are you really?" Quote, the man smiled down at the boy. "The Chiron from the stories? The trainer of Hercules and all that?" "Yes, Percy, I am. But shouldn't you be dead?" Percy asked. Chiron paused, as if the question intrigued him. "I honestly don't know should be. The truth is I can't be dead. You see, eons ago the gods granted my wish. I could continue the work I loved. I could be a teacher of heroes as long as humanity needed me. I gained much from that wish. And I gave up much, but I'm still here, so I can only assume I am still needed." "Oh look," he said, "Annabeth is waiting for us." When they reached the blonde girl, it was at cabin 11. The girl was reading a book that not even English, it was in Greek and it seemed about Greek architecture. "Annabeth," Chiron said, "I have archery class at noon. Would you take these two from here?" "Yes, sir." Cabin 11, Chiron told them, gesturing toward the doorway. "Make yourself at home." Out of all cabins, cabin 11 is the oldest and the most worn-looking of the cabins. This is due to its former use as a home for all unclaimed demigods, as well as the children of the minor gods. Its dull brown paint is chipped off and there is a caduceus overhanging the door. Looking inside, Naruto's sweat dropped at the sight. It's even more packed than any other cabin. There are not enough beds and they were all sleeping on the floor with sleeping bags. "I might have to talk with Tu-chan with this, or better yet I have a better idea," he mused. They all in a good spirit. He noticed when they saw Chiron they stood and bowed to the man. Suddenly Sally emerged from the group and hugged Percy. "Oh Percy, I'm glad you okay," she said, relief and happiness evident in her voice as the group snickered at Percy's face as he blushed from embarrassment at his mother's affection gesture, but he smiled nonetheless, glad that his mother is okay. "Hey Mom," he said as Sally released him and held Percy's hand. Naruto smiled at the scene. "Well then," Chiron said, "good luck Percy. I see you at dinner." He then galloped toward the archery field. Turning to the group behind them, they saw all of them seemed to be sizing them up. Percy walked forward and fell face first to the floor. Sally help her son. Snickers all around. Naruto just walked forward as if nothing has happened. Annabeth announced, "Percy Jackson and Naruto Uzumaki meet cabin 11. Regular or undetermined?" somebody asked. "Undetermined," Naruto said bluntly, making them groan in annoyances. A guy who was older than the rest came forward. Now that what we here for, welcome Naruto and Percy, you can have that spot right over there. It's pretty big so it will fit the two of you for now." He was about 19. He was tall and muscular with short cropped hair and friendly smile, though Naruto noticed his smile didn't even reach his eyes, a sign that his smile is fake. He narrowed his eyes as he picked up resentment and hate from the guy. He need to watch the guy from now on. "This is Luke," Annabeth said. Her voice sounded different somehow. They looked at her and saw she was blushing. Figures she has a crush on the guy. Naruto shook his head sadly. During his times as Team 7 it was the same. Sakura has a crush on Sasuke and yet he betrayed the village and never returned her love. He hoped history never repeated itself. He your counselor for now, she said. For now? Percy asked. You're undetermined, Luke explained patiently. They don't know what cabin to put you in, so you're here. Cabin 11 welcome all newcomer, all visitor. Naturally we would our patron. Hermes is the god of travelers. Hey the god of thieves. Let's see who the greatest thief, Naruto said in a challenging tone, making all Hermes campers narrowed their eyes at them. Only Luke is the only one who challenged him back. Are you sure, Naruto? Some of us is expert at stealing, he said with a smirk. Naruto only smirked back at him. Sure, bring it on. He decided to give Luke his wallet, watch and his money back. Here you go, man. Luke widened his eyes. Wah. When, he said in shock as everyone except Percy widened their eyes. Naruto winked at them, making the girls including Annabeth blush. I'm a shinobi, Luke, a ninja. We a thief amongst thief. We assassin in the shadow. You don't what hit you before it too late, he said, grinning at them darkly, making several guys shivered and the girls blushed with the exception of Sally. Anyway, Percy interrupted, already used to Naruto antics, how we going to be here? Good question, Luke said after he pocketed his wallet and patted his pocket pant to make sure they still there, until you're determined. How long will that take? The campers all laughed. Come on, Annabeth told Percy. I show you the volleyball court. I already seen it, Percy said. Come on, she grabbed his wrist and dragged him outside. They could still hear the laughter of cabin 11. Naruto shook his head and walked away from the duo unnoticed. He walked to the edge of the forest and flashed through hand sign. Mokuton. Renchuka no Jutsu, wood-style row houses jutsu. He slammed his palm to the ground. By sending chakra into the ground, the roots of the plants are converted into raw materials. This technique allows for a building to be constructed. By forcing accelerated growth, the size and shape of the building are taken from the user's imagination or memories. Timber under the ground and lets it grow rapidly while forming it into two cabin-sized house. Naruto put a barrier seals around the house, creates a barrier, making it impossible for the monster to detect it and allowing the user to camp in peace. The campers watch from the sidelines could only watch with wide eyes and jaw drop, making their expression look like a fish. Alright, some of the campers in Hermes' cabin can bunk in here. He called out, making the campers in Hermes' cabin snapped out of their shock and packed their stuff. They rushed toward the cabin as if Hellhound were chasing them. Naruto chuckled slightly at them. Inside, the camper once more dropped their jaw. Inside the cabin has 15 bed that look like feathers. They have 3 air conditional. They have fire pit at the living room that warm the room and comfy sofas and love couches, while on outside look small, inside the cabin look like a mansion. Hey Naruto, how the air conditional will work? They don't have electricity, one of the male campers said confusingly. Naruto just smirked and pulled out a piece of paper from his pouch behind his back. The paper has the drawing of lightning in kanji on them. Seals, man. They are wonderful workers, he said proudly as lightning came out of the paper. Now make yourself at home, Naruto said warmly at them as they all cheered for their new home. Naruto walked toward Annabeth. He in bad mood. The reason why? Apparently Chiron told him that Zeus might not be pleased with this. He just shrugged at that. If he so not pleased at his work, then tell his other sibling to claim their children for sharing's sake. These guys eager when having but lazy to claim their kids. Annabeth, still not noticing Naruto beside him, watched at the door as Clarice and her friends mocked Percy. As they began to push Percy head to the toilet, Naruto sensed something in Percy started to stir. This is going to get messy, he said, startling Annabeth. Huh? Annabeth asked. Then out of the toilets shot out water at Clarice. Her friend tried to help her. The toilets exploded, blasted the water all over the place. Naruto flashed through hand sign. Mokuton. Mokujoheki, wood-style domed wall jutsu. Naruto yelled out as a dome of wood closing around Naruto and Annabeth, protecting them from the water. Percy walked toward the dome and knocked on it few times. The domes retracted to the ground, disappearing as if they were never there before. Annabeth looked at Naruto in shock. How did you? Quote, I don't cane. Percy was cut off by Annabeth. I didn't ask you, Percy, I'm asking Naruto, Annabeth said to Percy. Naruto just chuckled. That is for me to know and you to find out, he winked at her, making her blushed and pouted. Well, Percy, it seemed you just gave the name Waterboy a new meaning, he teased, getting Percy told him to shut up and Annabeth giggled cutely at him. They walked through the door and saw Clarice and her friends sprawled in the mud. A bunch of campers were there to gawk. Clarice's hair was flattened against her face. Her camouflage jacket was sopping and she smelled like sewage. She was giving Percy a look of absolute hate. "You're our dead new boy, totally dead." Futon. Tapa, wind style immense breakthrough. A strong gust of wind blew away the water and mud into the forest. Everyone was gawking at Naruto now. First wood and now wind. What is he, a son of Demeter and Zeus now? He walked toward Clarice and helped her up. "Sorry for Percy here. He just new to his power. Though watching you in the mud as though..." He teased her, making her blushed madly before he disappeared in a red and black lightning right beside Annabeth and Naruto, leaving more people to gawk at him. He definitely son of Zeus now. "Show off," Percy smirked at him. "Says the guy who make the toilets exploded," he said, smirking smugly at Percy, who pouted at the comeback. They noticed Annabeth staring at them, but she blushed when she looked at Naruto. What are you thinking?" "I'm thinking," she said, "that I want the two of you in my team for Capture the Flag." THSTA all for now. If you enjoy then please like, share and do comments.